And now the next case.
Party's on Rasmussen versus Wacko. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Brenda Rasmussen claims her former best friend, Sarah Rockholz, owes her for a bicycle. Sarah borrowed the bike, then it was stolen.
Miss Rasmussen, how old are you?
24 years old.
This is your father?
Yes.
You're a co-plaintiff, sir. I don't quite understand that. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But according to your complaint, Miss Rasmussen, the defendant and you were really good friends.
Very good friends, yes.
College friends?
Mm-hmm. Roommates.
And there came a time when she needed some transportation, something happened with a car, and you had an old bike, and you lent it to her. And the bike got...
stolen.
You want her to pay for the bike?
Mm-hmm.
So what'd you get your father involved for?
I was very busy, and I called, and I tried to get it resolved, and it didn't work. Nobody would return my phone calls. So I asked him to help me out.
You asked him to resolve it?
To help me resolve it.
Okay.
Not solely resolve it.
How much do you want for this bicycle?
I want $535.16.
Well, let me hear how you get to that figure.
Bike.
For the bike?
Yes. Kickstand, an additional $5.
Go ahead.
Water bottle and bracket, an additional $7. Bike lock, $24.18.
Mm-hmm.
Court filing fee, $35. And lost wages for myself, $104.
Well, I understand that, but you were asking for $334. That's the cost of a replacement bike. Is that right?
That's the cost of the bicycle. I also had a kickstand on my bike and a water bottle. And then the
So
court filing fee.
the whole thing comes to $350. That's what you... Is that what you paid for the bike?
That's
How
what
much-
it cost to replace the bike.
The bicycle was 3 years old.
Right.
How much did you pay for the bicycle?
It was about $250.
What do you mean about $250?
I don't remember exactly because I do not have a receipt.
So it's about $250.
Your Honor, may I make a comment here?
Sure.
When this originally started, all we really want to do is replace the bike so that Brenda would have a bike to use.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've made a list of phone calls we made. Primarily I made, but Brenda made some also. To Sarah, when I could get a hold of her, to her parents. One of the things we agreed to do one time when I talked to her father was he said, we've got some bikes, we'll bring a bike over. I said, fine, bring it over, we'll let Brenda look at it. All we want to do is get it resolved. Never saw a bike, called them back, same thing happened.
You paid $250 for the bike. Your daughter said she wants her to pay $334 for a bike. Now, the $250 you paid for a bike that was at least 3 years old at the time that you lent it to her. So a bicycle does have a certain amount of depreciation, just like a car has a certain amount of depreciation. So, I mean, I think that it's reasonable. You understand that you have to give her something towards replacing a bicycle.
Right.
Now, what do you think is fair?
Well, I talked to my insurance company about it, and according to the information that Brenda gave my insurance company, they said that there was an actual cash value of the bike for $136.32, and I mailed them a check for that. And the reason why I wasn't able to take care of it right away after that had happened, I did tell Brenda that I had the intention of taking care of it, but I left to study abroad in Europe for the fall semester. So therefore, she said that her father would be contacting my father. And so for the past year, her father and my father have been working this out. But as far as anybody contacting me, that hasn't happened.
The $136 that you mailed to them, and you acknowledged that they mailed to you and you did not cash the check.
June 30th, we didn't have time to return the check.
Okay.
She did send them.
How long after this bike was stolen did you send them a check for $136?
I sent it less than a year after.
That's unacceptable. The bike was stolen. It was in your possession. You are therefore responsible to them for something. I absolutely am not taking into consideration your request for $535. If a look on your face suggests to me that you know that that's an unreasonable amount. Even the $334 that you're asking for, which is the amount to replace a brand new bicycle, is unreasonable. Now, did the insurance company say that the bike was valued at $136?
Her insurance company wrote us a letter saying that they determined that. I have no idea how.
How they determined it.
Okay, well, it's very hard to determine because you do not have a bill for your bike.
Right.
Now, You say that you spent about $250 for your bike, and you had it for 3 years, assuming that it depreciated $25 a year, which is not a lot. That's $175. You're not so off when she sent you $136. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff.
May I say something?
No. The judge.
Please.
Go ahead.
Okay, I feel that she borrowed my bike. I want a bike back. I'm going to get a check for $136. I'm going to
No, you're going to get a check for $175.
$175. But I'm still going to have to pay money out myself to replace the bike.
That's true.
No, I don't think that's fair. No, it should not. She should be replacing the bike.
No, that's not what happens, madam. I understand that that's what you think, but that's not what happens.
No, she borrowed the bike, therefore she should give me a bike back.
Ms. Rasmussen, I'm going to give you one final example, and I just want you to listen, because you look like an intelligent woman.
Thank you.
All right? Let us say that your bike wasn't 3 years old. Let's say that was the only bike that you had, and it was 12 years old. 12 years old. But it still pedaled. It still got you around where you wanted to go. If you went to sell the bike, maybe you could get $25 for it, maybe $15. If you went to sell it, you lent a bike to your friend. The bike gets stolen. In order for you to buy a new bike, it would cost $334. And what you're suggesting is that that's the right thing to happen. The right thing to happen is for her to pay for you to get a brand new bike, even though you didn't give her a brand new bike. So, and I'm telling you that you have to change your mindset.
Oh, I understand.
Good. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $175. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
Cahill, step forward, please.
38-year-old investor Tom Stavros says he was assaulted by Bobby Cahill, the ex-husband of his girlfriend, Beth.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, case number 113 on the calendar in the matter of Stavros versus Cahill. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Stavros, your lawsuit is about an assault.
Yes.
You claim that the defendant assaulted you.
Yes.
You want $2,500 for that assault.
That's what I was asking for, only because I didn't know what the total of the damages was at the time.
Mr. Cahill,
yes,
what I understand is Mr. Stavros lives with your former wife.
Yes, he does.
And you have 2 children.
Yes, I do.
And you have joint custody, shared custody with your wife with regard to the 2 children. How long have you been living with his former wife?
Approximately a year.
Some problems arose, according to these papers that I've read, where Mr. Cahill believed that you, sir, were corporally punishing one of his children.
Yes.
Is that how this started?
Yes, ma'am.
So, why don't you tell me about it, sir?
In the beginning of May, my son had been telling my mother that Tom had been spanking him.
That's you.
Yes.
Step up, please.
He...
Just shh. How old's the child?
My Robert is 5.
The boy is 5.
6 now.
Okay, and you had a conversation with him? And what did he tell you about this?
He said that whenever he gets punished, Tom makes him pull his pants down and then he hits him.
On the rear end? With what?
He didn't tell me with what because he started crying.
Okay. Did you see any marks on the child?
No, I didn't see any marks on the child.
Okay.
Then I told my son.
So what happened, Mr. Cahill?
So, I talked to my son about it. He began crying to me. He told me he didn't want to tell me because he was scared. He was embarrassed. And he said that every time he got in trouble, Tom would make him stick his butt up in the air and he would spank him. I wasn't so much in fear of real physical abuse, but it was creating a scar on him. He was scared to go back. He always telling me he didn't like Tom and he didn't like being punished like that. I don't punish my son like that.
Mr. Stavros, do you discipline the child by having him take his pants down and you swat him on the behind?
No, no taking the pants down.
So, but you swat him on the behind?
Yes.
With what?
My hand.
Okay. And that's when his mother isn't around?
No, his mom's there.
Okay, does his mom discipline him the same way?
Actually, I'm the disciplinary in the house, just only because I just do it better. I mean, first there's a warning, then, you know, it's usually if he's lying, or if it's basically, I say you're going to get spanked if you continually lie, cheat, or steal, or if he's endangering himself. That's basically the only reason why he would get spanked.
Mr. Stavros, how old are you, sir?
38?
Have you been married?
No.
Do you have any children?
No.
Biological children?
No.
Before I get into this altercation that took place, sir, I'm going to tell you that I think it's a very bad idea for you to discipline these children.
We've after this incident, we discussed it with a therapist, and he thought it was also.
A bad idea?
Yes.
For you to discipline the children?
Right.
See how smart I am?
Right. But
Do you want to know why, Mr. Stavros? When loving parents discipline their children, if they're doing the right thing as parents, even if they corporally punish them by giving them a swat on the rear end.
Right.
Which
swat.
most people grew up with, who are 40 and over, grew up with being swatted on the rear end by their parents. I know there's a lot of debate about that now, but that's not excessive corporal punishment. But the difference, Mr. Stavros, is when a parent does it, it's usually accompanied by a measure of loving.
Right.
And a child can relate to their biological parent disciplining them that way. You, sir, at this point in this 6-year-old's life, are an intruder.
I agree.
He came into the house when he was 5 years old. He probably misses his father terribly. He probably misses the fact that his parents aren't together. Right. There you are, you show up, and all of a sudden, after a relatively short period of time, you're whacking him on the behind and his mother is not. So it's not a good idea. He got angry. Mr. Cahill, understandable. So what did you do?
So I called and I left a message on the machine that if she didn't call me back about the situation, I was going to be reluctant and not bring the children back this weekend. About an hour and a half later, Beth called me back. She was upset about me saying I wouldn't bring the children back. That's understandable. We got into it on the phone, and Tom took the phone away and started threatening me. And he said he was going to come over and take care of it then. He told me to meet himself someplace first, and I told him no. He said he knew where I lived, so he was going to come over. And he did.
What happened when you got there, sir?
Beth was concerned.
Don't tell me about Beth and her concern.
Well,
you went over there with Beth.
With Beth. Beth
What time did you go over there?
When he called.
What time?
It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
So you and your girlfriend went over at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Now, you understand, it wasn't for his sake. It was for the child's sake, because Beth was, I woke up and I heard Beth pleading on the telephone, please, I love the children, don't keep them away from me and like that. And then I put it on speakerphone. So she's still on the phone. I didn't take the phone away from her. And in the background, I hear Robert crying.
Robert was asleep, Your Honor. So.
Yeah. I hear Robert crying.
So?
And Beth hears Robert crying. And she's wondering why he's up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and why is he calling our house at 1 o'clock in the morning, and what's going on? I mean, she has a serious concern. So that's why we went over there.
Well, Mr. Stavros, that was your second mistake. Your first mistake was to discipline this 6-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy. Your second mistake was nothing is accomplished at 1 o'clock in the morning.
When I woke up...
Hindsight is 20/20, sir.
Exactly.
But I'm telling you, it's a mistake to go over there. It was your mistake. You were hot at the moment, so you called. Because whatever discussion that you wanted to have with her could have waited until 9 o'clock the following morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree.
So you were hot. You reacted to that by going over there at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Not smart.
Not smart. And I didn't even think of that until it was over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Beth comes, Mr. Stavros, with baggage. She comes with 2 children. Yes. It would be simpler for you without it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bobby Cahill, the former husband of Beth and the father of their child, denies he assaulted Beth's new boyfriend, Tom Stavros. He says Stavros threatened his son.
So you went over there with Beth. It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
She's upset. You love her. You're upset.
Right.
Right? Where is she today?
She's at work. She started a new job, and she really didn't want to miss work, just starting her new job.
That doesn't sound like a legitimate excuse for not being here, sir.
Well, you know.
So she's not here, which is difficult, but
Right.
I'm getting the gist of this case. So you went over there with Beth, you pull up in front of the house, and what happens?
I see the family on the lawn.
Which family?
Everyone that you see here, with the sister.
Okay.
And Robert and the kid. Robert's there. I pull up. I don't park or anything. I just stop right there in the middle of the street. And Beth gets out of the car and goes to Robert. I get out of the truck. I'm standing by the front of the truck in the street. I see Bobby has some black gloves on, and he has a basketball in his hands. I just go, well, you know, Bobby's, I don't want any part of this. I don't want to fight. I don't want anything to do with this. I know he has a tendency to hit people. I'm just going to stay right here by the truck. Bobby's brother shows up and gets behind Robert here. And Robert turns around and looks at his brother and turns around and looks at me and then throws a basketball at me and comes running and hits me in the head.
What hits you in the head, the ball or him?
The ball hit me, and then he hit me with his fist in the head.
Who hit you?
Robert. So little Robert comes running into the street with his hands up in the air, just no, 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 like this. I see the little kid there. I see this guy walking towards me, and then
he's already gotten to you, according to your story. He's already gotten to you and hit you.
Yeah, he did. But then, you know, I moved.
Go ahead.
I moved away. And then Beth comes and gets little Robert, takes him into the house. And he comes flying at me again, and I just step to the side. I start walking forward after he's behind me, and I face his brother. And his brother just doesn't, you know, stays undecided, doesn't want anything to do with it. And so I walked right towards the truck and get in the truck and lock the doors.
So you've been hit once with a basketball and punched once in the head. In the head. By him.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Cahill, tell me your version of these events, sir.
Your Honor, the only thing true about it is he drove up and stopped in the middle of the street. He came out. My wife stayed in the car. My son was asleep. I don't normally keep my son up past 9 o'clock on a Friday night.
Just tell me what happened, sir, not what you
He came out of the truck and he came at me and charged me. He swung at me once and I defended myself. That's the worst thing that I did. My mother called the police that evening. This incident happened before 1 o'clock. The police came out. They asked me what I wanted to do about it because he had no business coming to my house. I told him I wanted to just send him home. He called me 2 days later threatening to take it out on my son. I taped the conversation.
I'd like to hear that.
There's a lot of expletives on it.
I've heard everything, sir. Can I hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you'll be singing a different tune after Robert gets back after this week. And then if it doesn't change this week, it might change the next week. Or maybe the week after that.
Why would you want to take it out on a 6-year-old?
I'm not taking him out. Because...
Why would you want to take it out on him?
Because I can. How's that? You don't go around hitting me ever. You don't go around hitting
Tom,
ever. You don't ever hit anybody, ever. Do you understand that? You have no right to swing a fist, and I'm going to make you pay. And if Robert brings you here, that's what's going to do it.
Tom, I was just there to defend myself.
Come over here by yourself. Just come over here. Robert, you, Mr. Cahill, are going to be not happy. Promise. It's a promise from me to you.
Okay, Tom.
Okay, 1 o'clock, La Salsa in La Mesa.
All right, well, I need to talk to Beth.
No more talking to Beth.
Sit there and listen.
Sorry, buddy.
Tom, don't touch him.
You. You. I can't wait till 1 o'clock. From 1 o'clock on, you're paying.
Okay. Whatever you have to say.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Beth Cahill's new boyfriend, Tom Stavros, says Beth's ex-husband assaulted him in a fight over Beth's son.
Mr. Stavros, do you realize that on that tape, you threatened Mr. Cahill's then 5-year-old child with retribution because you had a fight with his father.
There was a part to the tape that, okay, I'd been given Robert many privileges, just because I want to, because I want the child to have a good childhood, okay? And when I was saying, I don't know why it's missing, but I had said at one point that, you know, why should I be giving him all these privileges?
That's not what you said.
I realize that, Your Honor.
What you said on the tape was a threat, not even a very veiled threat, to hurt Mr. Cahill's child.
No, sir. No, ma'am.
But that's what it said, sir.
Okay.
You understand that that's what the tape says. The tape is your voice, angry, and what you're saying to him, what you said to him was, wait till the kid gets home.
Right.
Wait till the kid gets home. I can't wait till 1 o'clock till the kid gets home.
Well, what I'm implying is that that all these privileges that, or the way things have been, is not going to be the same anymore.
Sir, that may have been what was in your head.
And
that's not what a parent is hearing when he hears this, sir, on the tape.
Also, when he is saying that he is afraid of you, I'm saying he should be afraid. But he should be afraid after everything that's gone on. I would be afraid. Not that he should be afraid of me.
He's 5. I'm going to ask you one other question. I'm going to ask you one other question, Mr. Stavros. Why were you so angry? You were so angry because, according to you, he hit you. Is that right?
Yeah.
You hit his child.
Your Honor.
Not once, more than once.
I had permission to.
Not from him.
And,
just a minute.
Right.
Not from him.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't have permission from him to hit his child. How old are you, sir?
I'm 36 years old.
You're 38. He's 36. You want to fight and batter each other? That's your business, right?
I don't want to.
He's talking about hitting a 5-year-old child. His 5-year-old child.
Hitting and spanking are different things.
Hitting is, sir, to him, hitting his child is no different from him taking a basketball and throwing it at you.
Your Honor,
or
he could have told me about that.
Mr. Stavros, you had no business going over to his house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely no business going to his house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Because at 1 o'clock in the morning, there was going to be an altercation. What did you think was going to happen there at 1 o'clock in the morning? You think that you and your girlfriend were going to drive up to the house, and she was going to knock at the door, and she was going to say, I'd like the children, please. And Mr. Cahill was going to say, fine, I'll go wake them up and give them to you.
No, they were
Well,
awake.
what did you anticipate was going to happen at 1 o'clock in the morning?
I anticipated Bobby, me, Beth, Robert, everybody standing around in a circle just going, okay, that's what I was anticipating.
Well, I don't know what land you live in, sir.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong, Robert?
What's wrong with it?
Am I beating you?
Absolutely nothing, sir. Nothing is wrong with 9 o'clock the next morning.
Why can't we ask Robert?
Your girlfriend calling Mr. Cahill and saying, look, let's try to resolve this. We want to come over and sit and talk.
We could have done it then.
Yes, you could have done it then. And you were told not only by me, but you were also told by a therapist that you have no business putting your hands on this child.
After the fact.
Yeah, but that's what made him mad. So what? So you were told afterwards you were wrong?
Your Honor, it was my house. Beth wasn't doing anything about it. And after the lying and the lying and the lying, and he got spanked the first time, we didn't have any more lying anymore.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I want to tell you something, Mr. Stavros. I don't know whether you're still with Beth. I assume that you are. I assume that you are. And I assume that if Beth is a loving mother, and I assume that you believe she is.
I do believe she is, Your Honor.
And that she loves her children, even your mother. She loves her children? Well, she better, sir, take you to parenting classes.
We've been going.
Big time.
We have been going ever since this happened.
Because you are disciplining this child out of anger.
No,
Oh, yes, because you say she wasn't doing it, you took over.
Anger.
And Beth comes, Mr. Stavros, with
the
baggage. Hey, stop interrupting me. Beth comes with baggage. She comes with 2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
It would be simpler for you without it. But Beth comes with 2 children. They are 2 children, however, who have a father.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? He had 2 kids. They got a father and they got a mother. Mother doesn't hit him. Father doesn't hit him. You hit him.
Ma'am, he hits him. He spanks him. Guarantee it. She has taken...
No, that's not
I
true.
have, I have information completely
That's not
alternate. This is a letter from Beth, but that's not
I'm not
what
going to hear. If Beth wanted to tell
This
me
is,
something, she would
this
be
is
here.
an insight to the family history that was written down by Beth and her lawyer before any of this.
Listen to me, sir. If Beth chose not to be here today, it means that she was very wise and didn't want to get into an altercation with her former husband who shares custody with her of the children because it's not in the children's best interest. She probably couldn't stop you from filing your lawsuit, but I, sir, can stop you from getting any money. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
On the next Judge Judy
versus Estrus, step forward, please.
Betty Bishop says her Beverly Hills landlady, Christina Esteras, kept her deposit, owes money for the utility bills, and left her cat in the apartment for 4 months.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Your Honor, this is number 93 on the calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Estrus. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Bishop, you rented a condo from Miss Estrus. According to your complaint, the rent was $700 a month. You lived there for a while, left, and she retained some of your security deposit. How much did she retain?
She retained all but...
How much was your full security deposit?
$700.
And how much did she give you back?
She gave me back $454.07.
Now, I have a countersuit by you for $2,000. Quite frankly, Miss Estrus, I don't understand what it's for. But I assume you're going to tell me what this $2,000...
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. A minute. You found her apartment how?
It was in fair condition. There was no...
No, how did you find the apartment?
Oh, I'm sorry. I answered an ad in the newspaper. The ad said elegant condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, room in the condo, and it said it was located in Beverly Hills, and the rent was $600 a month.
Was she supposed to be living there at the same time?
No, she said one of the conditions was that she was moving to San Francisco. She had an apartment there. She had work there. She would never be at the condo, and that my cat and I could move into the condo.
So you stayed for a while.
Well, I brought in all my... She had no furniture, nothing. So I brought in all of my furniture, my artwork, high-end artwork.
Okay. And then how long did you remain before you vacated?
I vacated March 24th. They gave her notice on February 28th of this year, 1997.
So you vacated 3/24?
Yes.
And had you paid for March's rent?
Yes, I have.
I assume you had. Is that correct, Miss Estrus? Is it correct that she paid March's rent?
Correct that she paid March's rent, which was the last deposit, yes.
Fine. Now, can you tell me why you retained part of her security deposit?
Oh, absolutely, Your Honor. I terminated her lease, which I sent her a letter, because of the fact that she did not pay the electricity bill. And in my rental agreement, it says here that she will be responsible for all the electricity, and I, on the other hand, would be responsible for the water, the gas, and amenities, which comes to a total of $200 a month. Here are all my receipts indicating that I paid the $195 per month to the Home Association.
Does this lease provide that you pay the electric?
Yes.
Well, then
what happened, Your Honor, is this. On February 5th, she had the electric put into my name, and the way I found out about it was without my knowledge, without notice. The electric company notified me that I needed to pay an $85 deposit or they were going to shut off the electricity. I was not aware of it at all during that time.
What you're complaining about really is that you put the electric bill in your name without your permission.
Or knowledge.
Or knowledge. Did you do that?
No, Your Honor. Actually, I notified her on several occasions that my bill was past due, and I called them up, and she says, oh, well, I'm going to make arrangements. She never made arrangements. Then she'd leave me letters saying that she was...
Could you close that?
Oh, sorry. She'd leave me...
I asked you a question.
Yes.
My question was a simple one. It requires a yes or a no answer. I'm going to say it again because maybe you didn't understand me the first time. Did you cause the bill to be put in her name?
Absolutely.
Well, first, you just told me no a second ago.
I definitely did after my
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
All right. So you called the company and said put the bill in
definitely
in her name. You can't do that.
Well, I did it because...
Well, but you can't do it. You told me why you did it. You did it because she said that the bills were delinquent.
Because she didn't pay my bills. Why should I have bad credit? She gave me bad credit.
Yeah, but you can't call somebody and say, I want you to put a bill in somebody else's name.
Well, I told her previously that I was doing it, so there's that.
Let me ask you this question, Miss Estrus.
What?
Did you tell them who you were when you called the phone company?
Of course, and I told Betty that I was putting it in her name. And
listen,
you're an outright liar. Please be quiet while I'm speaking.
Miss Estrus, I don't believe you, madam, that any utility company will open an account in somebody else's name unless that person calls them.
Well, she gave me all the information to open it. I told her that I was putting it in her name. I had her information.
Well, I know you had her information. You mean her social security number and that sort of thing. You must have had that in order for you to open the account, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you had her permission to do it. We understand each other?
Yes, we do.
All right. They don't keep me around here because I'm gorgeous. They keep me around here because I'm smart. Now, you're suing her for $2,000. I'd like you to tell me why.
Okay. I'm going to start off with the damage.
All right.
The carpet cleaning. Here's all the...
I don't want to see that. Oh. Tell me what the damage.
Okay, the damage is where she has wine stains on the carpet. We tried to get them out. There was holes in the carpet, and she had the whole place with paintings everywhere. So there's holes all over the walls. We had to go in and replaster the walls and repaint everything.
So what'd you give her back $454 for?
Because at that point, that's all I had accounted for. I'm not living at that apartment, so all I could account for was the screens and the cat that wrecked my blinds and the electrical bill. That was the paperwork I had in front of me. She told me how many days I had left to get this back or I was in trouble. I have her letter right here.
You know, you may talk fast, but in order to convince me, you have to talk logically.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I think you're full of baloney. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm going to explain why to you. If you knew about the screens that you say she damaged, if you knew about the blinds, which you say she damaged, right, then you would have had to have gone into the apartment and seen holes in the wall that you said she made, wine stains on the carpet that you said she was responsible for. You had to have done that.
Correct, Your Honor, but can I explain something to you? I had to leave for Puerto Rico the next day. So all I could take care of is what I had to take care of at that time.
All right, now let's go to this. You say, assuming that she damaged the screen, assuming that she had wine stains on the carpet, how much was that all together to have fixed?
That was $2,000 in addition to...
Just a minute! That's out of the question. Show me bills for $2,000 for that.
Okay, sure. And my mother has all the...
I'm not interested in your mother. Show me the bills for $2,000 to fix the screen and to clean the carpet.
Okay, here you go.
Men and materials. What is this piece of paper here?
Do you want to explain, Mother?
I want you to explain.
Because my mother had to supervise it. I was not in town.
Supervise?
That amazing. What? She had to supervise the fixing of the holes in the plaster in the walls, and that's how much they charge. And she paid for it. And you want to talk to her about it? Lucy, why don't you stand up, please?
Gonna put a robe on her or what?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today...
It seemed like whenever the payments come due, we're broke up and everything, but she comes around lollygag and swapping slobbers with me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Betty Bishop is suing her Beverly Hills landlady, Christina Esteras, for her deposit, utility bills, and care of her cat for 4 months.
Problem is, when you try to fool somebody, you always get caught, especially in a court.
Well, I'm not trying to fool anybody.
Oh, sure you are. You didn't replace the carpet. You got an estimate.
No, I got an estimate. Correct.
You got an estimate. You didn't pay us a penny.
That's true. Did I say I paid
in
a
the
penny?
living room and the bedroom?
Estimate. That's what she owes me.
Give me a break. Listen, bottom line is, you gave her back a certain amount of money. And I don't believe your excuses that you were going to Puerto Rico and you had to leave the next day and all that other kind of stuff. I think what happened is you filed a countersuit against her when she sued you, right? Is that right?
Of course that's right.
As far as I'm concerned, there are certain things here that maybe,
Your Honor, I was told...
she's responsible for, maybe. But when you tried to pad it...
There's no padding.
Oh, of course there is. Of course there is. Now, you are responsible, madam, for the electric bill, because that's what it says. That's $85. Now, I don't know what the other...
Your Honor, could I...
$246 is. What's the other $246?
Here we go. This is the check that my mother had to pay. That was $58.50. And here's the repair on the 3-day blinds. And here's what that we bought the blinds right after Betty had moved in. Brand new blinds. They were $200, and her cat destroyed them. He's my witness. He saw that her destroy them.
Just a second. Did you say how you said telling me, madam, that this witness saw her cat destroy the blinds? Is that what you're telling me? Step up, sir. Say not a word. Tell me your name.
My name Warren.
Warren?
Yes.
What's your last name?
Satinu.
Sir, I want you to tell me whether, now look at me very carefully.
Yes.
I want you to tell me whether you saw her cat destroy blinds.
I saw her cat play with the blind.
You saw her cat play with them. Did you see any damage to the blinds when the cat was playing with them?
When they by the window.
Either you're not following me or you got her disease, sir.
No.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see the cat play with the blinds and cause damage to the blinds?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about it.
The cat basically like to stay by the window.
Yes.
And then basically they scratch the screen, and when the blind, sometime when the blind down, the cat just go to where the rope and the blind, where the mini blind.
Yeah. So you actually saw the cat destroy the blind, or you just saw the cat playing with the blinds?
Actually, you see the cat destroy the blind.
I don't believe you.
Your Honor. They basically play where the rope is.
I believe that you saw the cat play where the rope was.
Yeah.
That's not my question to you, sir. My question is, did you see the cat damage the blind? Not play with the blind, but damage it?
No, sir.
Right. Now sit down.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Just a second.
Your Honor, may I add something that I think is a very important piece of information right now that hasn't been brought up to this point? And that is that Mrs. Steros, when she left the next day after I moved in, said she would return in a week or two to get her cat, which was much larger and heavier than mine. She did not pick her cat up for 4.5 months later, which meant that I had to care for her cat.
What'd you leave your cat in her apartment
Well,
for?
I didn't leave my cat in her apartment.
Didn't you? Just a minute.
No, my mother came and got the cat.
Oh, just a second. When did your mother come and get the cat?
It was in January that she came and got the cat.
And when did you rent?
The cat did damage my, those screens were brand new, and that cat damaged those screens and the
How long did you leave your cat in the apartment with her?
I left the cat in the apartment with her for 3 months, and she agreed to take care of the cat.
All right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
We get to swapping slobbers and then sticking her tongue in my ear and stuff, and I forget everything.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Betty Bishop is suing her Beverly Hills landlady, Christina Esteras, for her deposit, utility bills, and care of her cat for 4 months.
You are suing her for $246.
Correct.
I am charging you for the electrical bill of $85. But she owes you $161, the rest of your security deposit that she withheld.
Plus.
You, madam.
Plus.
Plus nothing.
I had damage.
Plus nothing.
Okay.
$161. You, madam, are countersuing her for $2,000. You are entitled to zero, nothing. Countersuit is dismissed. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $161.
Parties are excused. You may step
Well,
out.
then what about my blinds? Are you saying that she didn't do that either?
And now the next case.
Parties on Hawkins versus Steimel. Step forward, please.
Retired builder Gary Harkins is suing professional psychic 43-year-old Evelyn Steimel for a video camera he says she was supposed to pay off when they were dating.
Mr. Hawkins, According to your papers, sir, you were dating the defendant on and off for a couple of years, and last Christmas you bought her a camcorder.
That's correct.
So this camcorder was sort of half gift and half not.
I'm on a fixed income. I'm not able to work. I just had a liver transplant.
So tell me about this gift that you made to her.
Each person that I cared about, I spent about $100. All right, she wanted this camera real bad.
So you're saying each person on your Christmas list you were going to spend $100 for? Okay.
But my son, my daughter, she wanted a camera, and she wanted it before Christmas so she could take some Christmas pictures. I went down there. My credit is good. And I went to the store and asked them about a camcorder. Could they put it in her name? They could not put it in her name. I was willing to put in my name. I put $100 down on it for her Christmas present. And we made agreement that she would make the payments on the camera.
Okay, so it was a Christmas gift of just $100 and it went towards a camera?
Yes, ma'am.
How much was the whole camera?
$702.52.
$702. Okay. Now, if I understand you correctly, sir, $100 of that was a gift.
Was a gift, yes.
So that brings it down to $602.
Yeah, $602.52.
Okay. Now, are you still dating him?
No, ma'am.
When was the last time you saw him?
Today, in court.
Prior to seeing him in court, where did you see him?
You mean on a dating period?
No. Prior to seeing him in court today, where did you see him?
Last week. To make a payment on a camera. Or well, actually 2 weeks ago I made a payment on a camera.
Where do you live?
In DeSoto, or I live now in St. Louis. My house burned. I lived in DeSoto, but I live in St. Louis, Missouri now.
And where does he live?
In DeSoto, Missouri.
How'd you get here?
I traveled by camper.
By camper?
Yes, ma'am.
Who came in the camper?
Myself and him, and I lied. I said I'd seen him today in a camper.
Lying is not a good thing to do.
No, it's not.
Now, I'm going to ask you again. Do you still date him?
No, I don't date him.
But you just came with him?
We traveled together because I'm afraid of airplanes.
Okay. Did you discuss this camera on your trip?
No, not at all.
Now, you made some payments on this camera?
Yes, I've made $350 payments.
Is that right, sir?
No.
When you say you made $350 worth of payments, how did you make the payments?
I gave it to him in cash because that's the way he wanted it. I mean, he's filed this on me once before, and we went back together, and he dropped it. And now we're broke up again, and he filed it again.
Well,
I pay him cash. I paid him twice. It's
just a second. Let me take a look at this. Mr. Harkins, let me read you from what this says, sir. Your complaint that you swore to. Now, with us fighting and not getting along, half the time I'm stuck with a bill. That's what you said. So how could you tell me she didn't make any payments? Don't gulp.
No, I'm not gulping.
Well, but that's what you wrote here, sir.
No,
you said half the time I'm stuck with the bill.
I am making all the payments.
Listen.
I am making the payments. It seems like whenever the payments come due, we're broke up and everything, but she comes around lollygag and walking slobbers with me. And
Mr. Harkins, Mr. Harkins,
yes.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. A moment ago, you just said to me she hasn't made any payments.
No.
In your sworn statement, you said about half the time she hasn't made payments. Which one is true, sir?
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Either you're lying now or you were lying when you swore to this complaint.
Sometimes, I go ahead and just make the payment because of she kisses pretty good, Your Honor. And what is it?
Oh, good. Mr. Harkins, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. This case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
Parties on Cheatham versus Oldenkamp. Celine, step forward, please.
Hollywood agent Clarence Cheatham is suing his client Roy Oldenkamp for a computer and Joselle Celine for slander.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Cheatham versus Oldenkamp, Celine.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me first say that when you prepare papers for court, which are a complaint and an answer, and in your case, a countersuit, you're supposed to prepare them so that the judge, in reading over a file, can understand the nature of your lawsuit. And quite frankly, sir, I don't understand what you're suing for. Something about a computer, something about slander. I have no idea how this problem started. And quite frankly, I don't understand your countersuit either. So, go ahead, Mr. Cheatham.
Now, there are three separate cases, as you know. The first case is that I had to move out of my apartment because it had gotten flooded. And Roy was coming over and using the computer every day because we were working on a play together.
So you were writing together?
No, we were working together.
What
on
does
the
that
play.
mean?
He was doing the publicity, and at the time I had a client that was doing the play.
What do you mean you had a client that was doing the play?
I had a client who was the star of the show, of the Dorothy Dandridge show. So he was, and so he didn't have a computer, so he was coming over all the time to use a computer.
So you're in the publicity business?
I was helping him out, yes, working for him at his place of business. And
Which was his apartment?
His apartment, right.
That got flooded?
I never heard anything about it getting flooded or saw any evidence of it.
Go ahead.
So John suggested, John is my housemate, decided that we should leave the computer with Roy while we were out of the apartment and they were repairing it.
Okay.
That's the
Apartment
first
got
part of the
flooded.
case.
You had your computer. You left it with him.
Yes.
Okay. Who bought this computer?
Me.
Do you have his computer?
I have the computer he gave me as partial payment for back wages due for work I did at his address, which is also his business, which I worked at for a year and a half, helping him not just do one play, but his entire business. And I have files and evidence of the things I did, some of the things that I did while I was there.
Well, so you say he handed this computer over to you as partial payment for the work?
Yes, he said that he was in the process of brokering a deal to sell a painting by Goya, the artist, that his commission, he was selling it to a Hungarian count, and his commission would be at least $350,000.
Did you tell him that?
Your Honor, I can't talk about that case. That case is being in litigation as we speak.
Well,
yes.
you have to talk about it, sir.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why. Because he says that you gave him this computer, but that you were working on a big deal and that hopefully you were going to get your computer back. Is that right?
No, he was going to pay me more money additionally. The computer was partial payment for monies due. And he came over to my house, set it up, and said he'd have more money for me when this went through, this brokering deal, which I don't know anything about how it happened after that.
Had you owed him any money, sir?
No. Not for work.
Well, how was he being compensated for doing the publicity
He was working for the show. He was not working for me. He was working for J.H. Doyle Production, and I have the witness to that effect.
This witness?
This witness.
Would you stand up, please?
Certainly.
Who are you?
I'm Sloan Robinson. And
What
I
do you
was
do?
the actress that was doing the play Yesterday Came Too Soon, the Dorothy Dandridge story. And I know that at that time, Roy came on to our production as a publicist. And I do know that they were working together on that production.
That's one thing I did.
The checks for that were supposed to come through Clarence to Roy.
I never got paid for that either.
And
Just
just
a second. One thing.
From my knowledge, Mr. Cheatham was not responsible for paying Roy's fee.
That was
the
the actress.
production
She would have no
company.
knowledge.
The
How do you know that?
production company was supposed to be paying his fee.
How do you know that?
That's
Where's the
what I
person
was
from?
told.
You can't tell me what you were told.
Okay.
Sit down.
Okay.
Just a second. Were you doing any other work for him other than on this particular Dorothy Dandridge story
Yes, ma'am.
play?
That play was only 3 months long in its entire gestation to the end of that play. I worked for Clarence for a long time, for I'd say over a year and a half, doing many other projects.
Well, why did you work for him for nothing, sir?
Well, I didn't. He paid me twice out of the amount I gave him. I have some invoices I'd given him also. And both times that he paid me, he paid one time I came to him and told him I wanted some money. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay an electric bill for you. How's that? So he paid the electric bill. The check bounced, of course. And then he did another payment with another fraudulent check that bounced.
I knew.
Just a
he
second.
really hasn't paid
So
me.
the answer is, all this year and a half, he didn't pay you.
Well, that's the Hollywood side of it. He is also my agent. So as my agent, he constantly would tell me, well, Roy, as soon as these deals break, I'll have the money for you. He's a very smooth talker. It's what he does.
Just a second. So you were working for him, but he was also your agent and supposedly working for you.
Yes.
He needed money because Clarence never got him any work as a writer. So Clarence said, well, work for me as well while we're trying to get all this done.
Plus, I had a full-time job all this time.
How do you expect... Are you a writer, sir?
No, I'm not a writer.
Well, what do you do?
I manage some writers, and I arrange funds for various film projects. And I was
When did you give him this computer to keep for you?
It was in March or April or something like that. I don't remember. But I know that what had happened, as I said, the apartment flooded. We had to leave the apartment until they fixed it. And I didn't want to put it in storage. He was working on the play. So therefore, I was trying to be a decent person and just let him keep it. But he said that John owed him money, and that I owed him money. He has never given me any invoices. I've not ever paid. He wasn't working for me. He had a full-time job. How could he work for me?
He has copies of
I
the
work
invoices.
all day.
Clarence, I work for you weekends and after work all the time. I was at your house burning the midnight oil.
This accordion file on the floor is a partial bit of the work Roy's done for him.
Who are you? Just a second. Who are you?
I'm his sister. And we
what do
live
you
together.
have? Are you in business?
He's suing
He's suing me for slander.
That's the one
No,
who
just a second.
slandered.
You're his sister. Are you in business with him?
I help him out occasionally, but I'm not technically in business with him, no.
This is getting very complicated. How much time do I have this afternoon?
Not much.
Do you, you're Mr. Olden?
Olden Camp, yes.
Olden Camp. You have a lot of businesses?
I work full-time job in the daytime. And then
What do you do?
In the daytime, I work administrative services at a company in the Valley. That means we help do supply and for an entire building of 200 people.
And you live alone, sir?
I live with Joselle.
We're roommates.
Right.
Fine. Do you have your own computer?
I have my own laptop computer, yes.
Fine. Give him back his computer. That's one. Give him back his computer. That's the way he makes a living. You don't have another computer, do you?
No, I don't.
His laptop is mine as well.
What?
We both use the laptop.
Good. You can only use it one lap at a time. His computer goes back to him. Now, what's next?
The next is that Joselle,
that's her,
called Sloan, who I was working with, who's a business associate, and she will testify. And on the message, Sloan had said, Clarence, you have to listen to this message. I said, I really don't want to listen to it. It wasn't interesting. So she had to finally talk me into listening to it. And I quote exactly to you what Joselle said. It's the most heinous of things that you could ever accuse a human being of. She said, and I'll give you a copy of it, I just want to warn you about Clarence. He had the police come here about 1 o'clock this morning, which is true. I don't know what's wrong with him. He has turned his anger at me and Roy for some reason. You know he was arrested for child molestation last month. He has just lost it. I just want to tell you to watch out for him. Let's have lunch.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I am not in fear of this man.
Why are you not in fear of this drunken guy who gets on the pipe? This guy is dangerous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Clarence Cheatham, a Hollywood agent, says his former client, Roy Oldenkamp, did not return his computer, and that Roy's sister, Joselle Celine, slandered him.
Did you leave that message on the machine?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell me first why, and then I'd like you to tell me what proof you have that Mr. Cheatham was in fact arrested on a charge of child molestation?
I called and left that message because Sloan, in addition to being a client of Clarence's, is a friend of mine. She's been to my house, we're friends, and I look out for my girlfriends. I'm afraid of this man now, and I wanted her
Joselle,
I'm sorry.
What now? That answers the why.
Right.
Now let's go to the proof. What proof do you have
Clarence
that this man was in fact arrested for anything?
Okay. Clarence called my brother at my home.
This brother?
Yes, he called us to bail him out of jail that night.
She was at the house at the same time when he called.
This is my witness who was also there. They were home working. So Roy put it on speakerphone so he could continue working while Clarence was blethering away. And this is the witness that also heard the conversation of Clarence saying, can you bail me out? I've been picked up on child molestation charges.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is James Shefflin.
James?
James Shefflin.
Mr. Shefflin.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
Okay, I manage a rock and roll band, and Roy is stepping up as my publicist. And we do a lot of late evenings. And,
so you were at home in the evening.
I was at his home.
Their home.
Right.
And what happened?
And he got a phone call, and Roy always puts the call on speakerphone.
You mean he picks it up on speakerphone?
I just push speaker.
Push.
You push speakerphone.
So he doesn't have to stop what he's
And
saying.
what did you hear, sir?
I heard that he was calling and asking for help to get out of jail. He said, I need help getting out here. Is there any way you can possibly get me out?
Okay. Mr. Cheatham.
Yes.
Were you, in fact, arrested?
Not for child molestation.
That's not what I asked you, sir.
I'll
no,
tell you
no.
what
Listen to me.
Was I
I'm
arrested?
asking you a question.
Was
Were
I
you, in
arrested?
fact, arrested?
Yes. Nobody bailed me out.
Mr. Cheatham, you were, in fact, arrested?
Yes.
When?
I have April or February or March, something like that. I don't even remember.
Did you, in fact, call Mr. Oldenkamp?
I didn't. Perhaps John called him. I don't remember calling him.
But you could have.
But I could have.
And you could have called him and asked him to come and bail you out.
You don't bail out child molesters.
Oh, you'd be surprised, sir. You'd be surprised. Did you call and ask them to help you?
No. John is my witness to that. No one. I asked no one because I didn't want anyone to even know that I was there. I was arrested on a $250 charge for disorderly conduct, and hey, you spend one night in jail and you're out.
Just let me ask you this question, sir. Was the original charge disorderly conduct?
That was the original charge.
No, the original charge is child molestation.
Just a second.
Who did I molest?
Mr.
A Hollywood producer's daughter.
Shh, Mr. Oldenkamp.
A 25-year-old
Mr.
woman.
Hey. Tell me the circumstances surrounding your arrest, sir.
The circumstances surrounding my arrest, I went to help a friend move. She said her car wouldn't start. I was standing there to call AAA. The next thing I know, all these white policemen were up on me. There were 10 of them. Because somebody had called and said that we were about to rob, John and I were about to rob them. So, they've called a cab, put us in a cab, and then this cab driver said, well, you guys are probably taking us somewhere to rob me. I just laughed, you know. So and he drove us back, left us at the garage, and as soon as I walked out, they didn't touch John. They arrested me for disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct. I have no idea. I was there for one night. It was a $250 fine that every man in that jailhouse laughed at me. You can't get $250. Every man, I'm in there with dope dealers, pushers, murderers, and everything. And here it is that they're laughing at me. I was the butt of their joke because I couldn't come up with $250 to get out of jail. It was a $250 fine. You will not, you know, so therefore, never for child molestation. A 25-year-old, you don't molest. You don't molest
What's
a 25-year-old?
I know the 25-year-old
He said a Hollywood producer's daughter. Yeah, that's what he said. He said
Clarence
it was a Hollywood producer's
Clarence told
daughter.
me on the phone.
25 years old.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What happens? This is the payback that I get. I mean, I hope his bad karma is ending here. I hope people in Hollywood will be warned.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hollywood agent Clarence Cheatham is suing Joselle Celine for slander.
The true text of the conversation, as he called us, was that, Roy, I'm in jail. I've been arrested. I think he said Van Nuys Police Department. He says, you won't believe it. I was arrested for child molestation. I was drunk. I was at a producer's house. I accidentally grabbed her daughter. Of course, he'd say accidentally. She had a cell phone in her hand, ran in the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911. They came and arrested me and took me out of the building. This, I'm just.
Why don't you ask
This
John?
is what the phone conversation was.
Why don't you ask John?
First of all, Mr. Cheatham, how many times have you been arrested in your life?
One. I was shocked. I was shocked to be arrested that time.
Who are you?
My name is John Taylor. We sit together, and I mean the whole child molesting thing is not.
Well, just a minute. Were you there when he made the phone call to the defendant?
No.
Okay, then you can sit down.
But he was there when I was arrested. He knows why I was arrested.
Just a second.
Did I call Roy? That's the issue
No,
here.
You don't know whether he called him or not.
I couldn't call anybody out of the courthouse because
no,
I didn't know
sir,
how to use the
Mr.
phone.
Cheatham, I want to tell you something. I believe, sir, that you called him. There's no question in my mind that I believe that you called him.
I called him.
I did not call Roy. I don't remember calling him. Perhaps John
No,
might
you
have
don't. You
called
may
him.
not remember calling him, but he knows your voice, sir, as opposed to this gentleman's voice.
Well, I don't think he's telling the truth. They're pulling at straws. They're pulling at straws. Giselle lied and said I was a child molester. That's the issue here, that she slandered me to a business colleague of mine. That is what we have. That's what we have. Has nothing to do with that.
Oh,
this is a business client of mine, and you know it.
Just a second. Well, let me ask you this question, madam. Did you believe the fact that he was a child molester?
No, I did not.
Good. Then we don't have a problem.
There you go.
Because in order for you to prove damages, sir, if she published this
She's no
information...
longer working with me.
Listen to me.
She's no longer working with me as a client, so therefore I'd lost income.
No, listen.
Okay.
Mr. Cheatham.
Judy, can I just say something?
Mr. Cheatham, there are two things. I have to make a judgment as to whether the phone call was made and whether I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made by you, Mr. Cheatham. I don't know whether you were drinking that night or not. This is the person with whom you reside. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So I believe the phone call was made. I believe this person, that he overheard that phone conversation, at least part of it. I don't know why, madam, you felt it necessary to transmit that information to anybody else. There must have been some bad blood, but clearly you didn't believe it, correct?
No, we're not
Did you
friends.
believe?
She did that to malign him because I'm his client.
Did you believe that it was true?
No, I did not.
Did you believe that he had been arrested?
Apparently not. That I had no question. I don't know. That's possible.
That's
but
possible.
as far as him being a child molester, no.
Okay, so you didn't believe it?
No.
Okay, so there. Did you tell anybody else that he was a child molester?
No.
Do you, or that you thought he was arrested for child molestation?
Absolutely.
Did you tell anybody else that?
No.
Okay, so she didn't believe it, so that takes care of that. All right, now I'm going to get to your counterclaim.
I've not been served with such.
You were never served with a counterclaim?
I was never served
You were
with
served by Dan West 2 weeks ago.
I have not ever been served with a cross-complaint. Why would I stand here and lie about that?
Well, I don't know, Clarence. That
Where
sums up the last
would he
half
have
hour.
served me 2 weeks ago?
He served you 2 weeks ago at your abode, wherever
Your
you
Honor,
live.
Well, let me...
I do
just
not
one
have
second.
a counterclaim
Just one
against
second.
me.
I'm
I
gonna
cannot
check
be sued for something that
Listen
I
to
don't
me.
know about.
Listen to me. I'm going to go back and check our court records and see whether or not we are in receipt of a filed counterclaim with proof of service.
Perhaps
Do you
you
understand?
are, but I'm not. And perhaps you are, I'm not. I don't know anything about a counter-complaint because I certainly would have answered it.
Well, Mr. Cheatham, you can either finish this case in court today.
I want to finish it today.
Then you want to let me see what this
Sure.
cross-complaint is about?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see if I have the papers. Just wait here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's a nut. I can't believe that he started this whole ball rolling in the first place. The man is simply a nut.
Order. Quiet, please.
Mr. Roldenkamp,
Yes, ma'am.
the plaintiff could not have been served 2 weeks ago with your counterclaim,
What?
sir, because you only filed your counterclaim 5 days ago.
It was...
So you can't have been served, sir, with your counterclaim before you filed it. Your countersuit is dismissed without prejudice. You can refile it if you wish and serve him.
that's fine.
And within 48 hours, the computer is to be returned to him.
I don't want him near me to pick up that computer. Can
Fine,
I have someone pick it up?
We will make arrangements for the computer to be picked up.
Thank you. I fear for my safety with him.
You certainly should. We're done.
Step out the back to your right.
Shame on you,
please.
Sloan.
Out the back to your right, please.
On the next Judge Judy.
Hurt Alexander, step forward, please.
Judy Haggerty, a Marine clerk and the mother of 18-year-old Genia Guy, is suing two of Genia's former friends, Raven Alexander and Ebony Hurt, for kicking her Volkswagen door.
All rise. Order in the court.
This is case number 108 in the matter of Haggerty versus Hurt Alexander. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please. Have a seat.
Mrs. Haggerty, this is your daughter.
Yes.
What's her name?
Ginia.
Ginia?
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that Ginia used to be friendly with these two gals right here.
Yes.
And that they had some sort of a falling out. And they had a fight, which I assume they'll tell me about. And these two young ladies damaged your car.
Right.
You admit you damaged her car. You kicked it, correct? What?
Yes. Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
But that you have an excuse as to why you're not responsible for the payments.
Yes.
So we'll get to that in a minute. Ginia, step up here. You were driving your mother's car?
Yes.
What kind of car is it?
It's a VW Bug.
What year?
71.
Were you friendly with both of these young ladies?
Yes.
You had a falling out about something?
Yes.
What?
Basically, it was she said this about
Who's
me.
she?
I was so called to say something about Raven. I was to say something about Raven.
Who's Raven?
I am.
So she was told that you said something bad about her.
She was so-called on the phone at this time. She heard that I said all these things about her when she was on the phone. I was on three-way. We're on three-way. I didn't know we were on three-way.
How old are you?
18.
How old are you?
18.
And you?
17.
All right. So then you decided to try to straighten it out with them?
Yes.
What did you do?
I decided that I was going to go over there and talk to Raven. It was said that I was to go over there and fight Raven, but I say I was over there to talk to Raven. I had on a dress and some sandals. They had on sweats, T-shirts, and...
Slower. You had...
I had on a dress and some sandals. They had on sweats and T-shirts and, like, scarves on their hair, like, ready to get down. I was not...
Ready to get... Listen, in English, please. I know what it is. But, you know, I want them to try. I want this young lady who looks like a nice young lady to know that if she wants to live in an adult community, she's got to talk English.
Well,
Get down is not something...
Okay, I'm sorry. To fight. To fight. Okay? And I was not over there to fight. They hit me. They do what they have to do. I'm sorry. They hit me. Words were exchanged. Okay? And I get in my car. Words were exchanged when I was getting in my car. And then as I pulled off, they kicked my car in, my panel and the door, my driver's door of the car.
And you got estimates to fix it?
Yes. She called me. I was at work that night. She called me. She was crying. She was all upset. She was saying she went over to Raven's house, and I told her, you should have stayed at home, okay? Because, see, I've known Raven for a long, long time. Raven used to go on outings with us. We used to do things with Raven. So I've known it. So for her and Jenya to be fighting, to me, was stupid, very much so. And I was upset with she and Raven. So I called, went to Raven's mother's job and told Yvonne about the incident, what had happened, and I told her I wanted all of us, Jenya, Raven, her, and I, to sit down and talk. A lot of things came out about she said this and she said that, and I was saying, who cares? Who cares who said this? If you don't like her and she don't like you, just stay away from each other. This one is not my friend. That one is not my friend. Okay. So then I said, what did Ebony have to do with it? This is what I wanted to know. And Raven said at that time, she says, I can't tell Ebony what to do and what not to do.
Well, why did you get involved with this, Ebony?
No, because this is what happened. When she called Raven's house, she spoke to me on the phone. She was like, well, whatever she said something like to the fact, well, do y'all want to see a fair one with me? So I had Raven, so she was like, well, put Raven on the phone. So I give Raven the phone. Raven was like, I don't have time for that. So she hung the phone up. The phone rang again. I answered it. She was like, oh, why y'all bitches hang up? So I said, so she said, after that happened, she said, well, I'm on my way. I said, if you come up, I told her before she came over there, if you come over here, you're going to get beat up, basically.
It had nothing to do with you. Why did you tell her if she came over she was going to get beat up? What did it have to do with you?
Yes, it did, because when she called over there, she spoke to me on the phone. She talking all this to me. That's why when she asked to speak to Raven, I had Raven the phone.
Just a second.
Go ahead.
I never heard of young ladies who fight with each other like this. What does this come over and fight and get down? And I don't understand this.
She knew what was going on. She knew how me and Raven are. She knew the situation.
You mean because Raven is your friend, you decided?
No, it's not because Raven is my friend.
But you had nothing to do with this argument.
Yes, I did, but other situations happened before this day actually came.
All right. Now, who kicked the car?
We both did.
Fine. So you have to pay for it. Now, you have a reason why you think you don't have to pay for the car. Now I'm ready to hear it.
Right.
Raven, you first. You want to tell me why you don't think you have to pay for this car?
Okay.
For the damage?
First of all, Gigi knows how I am. She knows
If I don't want to be bothered, don't bother me. She called my house, and she was like, I'm coming over to get a fair one. So I'm like, fine. There's no way I'm about to change into clothes and everything like that if I don't think I'm finna fight. So then she came over there, and when she's driving up the car, she was like, I'm ready like that. She got out the car, and I was like, nobody's gonna come over my house and disrespect my house, my property. So we fought, okay? The fight was over. So finally she get in her car, and she was like, yeah, it ain't over there, you know, it ain't over there, you know, just cussing me out or whatever like that. So then she threw something out the car. Oh, and then she wanted to drive off, so instead of driving off, I couldn't get to her, so car was the next best thing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your attitude, madam, is what's going to land you in trouble probably for the rest of your adult life unless you decide to take an attitude pill.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Genia Guy says her two former friends, Raven Alexander, 18, and Ebony Hurt, 17, kicked and punched her and kicked in the doors of her mother's car.
I've read your answer. And according to your answer, and yours too, neither one of you waited for her to throw the first punch. Let me read you a little about what you said. Okay? You said she got out of the car, this is what you say, and started walking up to Raven, according to you, ready to fight. So Raven hit her twice. I love this. Huh? There's nothing wrong with this.
I mean, it's nothing wrong. If she can't, she called, so why wait till somebody hit the first punch?
So you hit her twice. Then she walked around Raven and ran up to me. So I threw her to the ground.
Yep.
Then she got into her car. So far, she didn't hit anybody. She got into her car, and according to you, was going off at the mouth. And you weren't going to let anybody get away with that, so you kicked her car. So is that the reason why you don't think that you're responsible for paying for her mother's car?
She threw something out the car. That's why her car was kicked.
So she's trying to hit me. She gonna get hit in return. She's supposed to be responsible for her own
Let me have the estimates on the car, madam.
Ridiculous.
And what is that piece of paper that you have behind you?
This didn't end it.
What?
This did not end the situation. When I got home one evening, a neighbor of mine had called me while I was at work that night. And this was on my front door with a knife in it.
Nice touch.
Okay.
Nice touch.
Well,
also,
that don't have nothing to do with us. That don't have nothing to do with the car.
That don't have nothing to do with me.
I didn't get any of these things until after this incident. At the school, one of the teachers had this and was saving it because somebody had put it in her mailbox for her. They went to all this trouble to make a replica of her car, showing how they had kicked it, dented it. Then they had the nerve to put a bullet in it. Okay?
I don't have time to be doing all
that.
Okay,
really though. That don't have nothing to do with me.
I wanted to also ask for mental anguish for what I, as a mother, have gone through with this. I have gone through so much stress and strain around this whole incident.
Yeah, and she harassed my mom on her job.
That's not her fault. Whatever happened to
Miss Haggerty, listen to me.
That's y'all business. Whatever, y'all, that's y'all business. Y'all have to take that. That's another case somewhere else. You call somebody else. Gigi, and she's a lot of people who don't like her. It's a lot of people that don't like her.
Put her outside because she's quiet.
Step out, please.
Put her outside because she's quiet.
Later on Judge Judy.
That's right. She was only out for personal gain because once she found a man, I was out the door.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Miss Haggerty.
Yes?
They had absolutely no business to damage your car. There's no question about that. They both acknowledged they damaged your car. Your daughter did not do a smart thing.
No, she did not.
She placed herself at risk going over there. She knew that there were two girls over there. She was one person going over there. I can't imagine that she would go over there to fight with two girls, knowing that she was only one person.
That was just a stupid mistake of hers for coming over there. She, you know...
Be quiet. You already got yourself in enough trouble. What's your name?
Sherry.
What's your last name?
Trotter.
Trotter?
Yes.
Miss Trotter, I don't know if you've had any other difficulty with your daughter, but your daughter's got an attitude, and unless she does something about straightening herself out, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get a lot of pleasure out of her as an adult. I'm telling you. She has an attitude that she can't even mask when she's in a courtroom. So I would suggest that you have a long talk with her, unless what you want to do is have a lifetime of grief from your daughter.
My attitude has nothing to do with this case.
Your attitude, madam, is what's going to land you in trouble probably for the rest of your adult life unless you decide to take an attitude pill.
Okay,
in any event, the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $878.70, which is the cheapest of the three estimates that I got. That's all.
Step out. Step out, please.
Because she brought her stupid over there, and that's exactly what she gets.
Well, when you deal with ignorant people, ignorant things end up happening, so it doesn't make a difference.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
Party's on Albert versus Bonds. Step forward, please.
24-year-old student Sherry Albert says her friend Tracy Bonds owes her $150 for an entertainment center. Tracy says Sherry ate her ice cream.
All right, you're two old friends. You got divorced, you had a child, you moved in with a defendant who was an old friend of yours. You had a fight, according to your papers, over a half gallon of ice cream. Now, you don't explain that to me, but I will tell you, my curiosity got to me. I said, how could a half gallon of ice cream come between two people who had been such good friends? So first tell me how that happened.
Well, it wasn't exactly the ice cream. That was just one factor that the defendant used in order to start an argument with me. Actually, what it was that she had a new boyfriend who she wanted to move in with her. Therefore, she felt as though she would start different arguments with me in order to push me out of the apartment.
So you think the ice cream was just a ruse?
Right. That was only one thing that she did.
Well, but tell me about the ice cream anyway, because I'm dying to know.
What it was is that previously I had put $150 worth of groceries into the apartment, and our agreement in the three apartments that we've shared together was that the food is everyone's. I have a 2-year-old, she has a 3-year-old. We give to all of our kids alike. Therefore, she bought some Breyer's ice cream. And I was a bit depressed regarding my divorce, and I was just really having a bad time. And I ate the ice cream. It's like the thing that soothes me, and I felt worse about it than anyone else because I was the one who was going to have to go exercise it off. So the next morning, she wakes up slamming things and whatnot and says, well, Sherry, you need to replace my Breyer's ice cream. And I'm like, I will not. I just put $150 worth of groceries in here. We share. What is this going on?
Is that what it was about?
This particular time, I made a homemade apple pie, and I went and brought the Breyer's ice cream. And I made the pie, and I put it in the oven, and I cooked it, and then I had to go to work the next day.
And you went to have the
ice
pie.
cream was there, and I come home from work the next day. The pie was untouched. The ice cream was gone.
Now look at the two of you smiling. Look at each other and smile. Look at
I still love her, Judge, but you know, sometimes we.
Well, look at her and tell her that.
I love you, Sherry, but I understand that sometimes we just don't get along. But I do believe that you should have replaced the ice cream. I left a note. I asked her to replace the ice cream. I left a kind note. I said, could you please replace the Breyer's ice cream?
This case is not about Breyer's ice cream. This case is about an entertainment center. All right, so let's get to that. Now I figured out what the ice cream was about. You had an entertainment center. You were moving out. You said you left the entertainment center at the house because she was going to buy it from you. Correct?
Right.
For $150?
Right.
She hasn't given you the $150? You want the entertainment center. Is that what this case is about?
That and also my son's hobby horse, which she won't turn over to me either.
She says you can have the hobby horse.
She can have it. That's her son. I love her son. She can have it.
Hobby horse is yours. She indicated that in her answer. Okay. Did you say you would buy the entertainment center?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Why would she leave it there if you didn't leave on good terms?
Because she didn't want anything reminding her of her husband. Her and her husband were separated, and she said she didn't want anything reminding her of her husband.
Why did you leave it there?
The reason why I left it there is because me and Tracy Bonds made a verbal agreement that she would pay me $150 for that entertainment center.
I have a witness who knows this also.
How does she know it, the witness?
Because she was also a mutual friend of me and Tracy Bonds. As a matter of fact, I know her through Tracy Bonds.
Step up, please. Did you hear Miss Bonds make this agreement to pay $150?
Yes, I did.
Where were you when you heard this
In the
conversation?
apartment. Tracy was talking to Sherry on the phone. She was going to withhold the $150 because her ex-husband had put a hole in the wall, and she had went to Michael Chan, their landlord, and got an estimate for the hole.
Your ex-husband punched a hole in the wall.
He threw an iron and hit the wall.
Well, why is she responsible for that?
Because she said that she would pay for it when she moved. When I asked her about the hole in the door, I was not there at the time. I asked her about the hole, and she said that her husband had put it there and that she'd pay for it.
Did you tell her you would pay for it?
I said that I would get the money from my ex-husband to pay it.
According to these papers, fixing the hole was $60, and she owed another $20 to the landlord for a late fee. That's $80. Where's your $80?
I tried to give it to her.
Where is it now?
In my bank account.
Good. You're going to give that to her. $80 to her. That takes care of her debt to you. Now, she wants back this entertainment center. You say it was just a gift. She didn't want anything to remind her of her ex-husband. This child that you have is the child of this ex-husband?
Yes, it is.
Believe me, she's got plenty to remember the ex-husband by. Do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why did your husband leave you? Because you're crazy. That's why.
You lost your mind. My husband wants me today.
You want to give her back the entertainment
She can
center?
have it back, but ma'am,
Wonderful.
she does need to know that she can't, you know, give somebody something and think that she's going to give it back by bringing the police and force and entry into somebody's house.
When are you going to make this exchange?
She may come by Saturday.
What time?
And I can't come Saturday. My son has to go to a birthday party.
Oh, what's important?
Well, just a second. Oh, that's
My
important.
son's birthday
Just
party.
a second.
Okay.
Look, what time is the birthday party?
It's about 2, so in the morning would be okay.
Would the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, be okay?
No, that's not okay. She has to come in the afternoon. She needs to come in the afternoon.
What time's the birthday party over?
I figure I should be home by at least about 5:30 or 6.
Fine. Can she come at 6?
Yes.
Good. 6 o'clock on Saturday. You pick up the hobby horse, entertainment center, check for $80. That's all.
If I excuse, you may step out.
Mills, step forward, please.
60-year-old retired aerospace exec George Boyer says he reached a sugar daddy arrangement with Demetria Mills when she was 18 years old. Now he wants her to pay back money because she had another boyfriend.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 201 on the calendar in the matter of Boyer versus Mills. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Boyer, you're suing the defendant for $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you tell me why she owes you $5,000?
Well, it all started when I had a financial ad running in the newspaper.
When was this?
Back in spring of 1994. For personal loans. I'm an investor, and she answered the ad asking for a loan. And I said, well, you really didn't qualify for the loan. What's the problems? And she discussed them briefly with me. I said, well, let's get together and maybe I can help you out. Because she sounded like she had a desperate situation.
Am I correct, Mr. Boyer, that in 1994 you began to have a relationship with Miss Mills?
Yes, we did.
And she lived in your home occasionally, is that right?
Well, she moved in.
Yes. And in 1994, sir, how old were you?
Well, I was 58.
You were 58. And how old were you, Miss Mills, in 1994?
I was 18, turning 19.
You were 18. Did you feel uncomfortable about that, Mr. Boyer?
Not really.
She's 18 years old. She's a baby.
Yeah, that's right.
In any event.
I thought she was 19, going on 20.
Well, that makes all the difference in the world,
no,
sir.
I mean, no, just a matter of factual accuracy, I think. Yeah.
In any event, from a reading of your complaint over the years, you helped her financially and supported her, is that right?
at certain points of time. Yes.
Well, she lived in your house and you paid the rent?
It was really like in 3 different stages. First of all, if you want to call this the sugar daddy stage, it was only 4 months.
Well, I'm glad you did, so I didn't have to.
I just put it all on the table. That was the first 4 months. I played by the sugar daddy rules. She didn't play by the princess rules. In other words, I did
why
everything.
Don't you explain that? Just a second. I'm a little stupid, so why don't you explain that to me?
Okay. I fully supported her, got a car for her use, paid her tuition in school. I was trying to be a bridge for her to get from when I first met her, which was down and out big time, to getting through school, getting through her surgical technology school, being successful, and treating her like a first-class girl during that period. And I was there to carry it all the way through. I don't think she saw it the same way because she had boyfriends on her side. She was having sex with other guys. She brought home an STD for me. Thank you very much. Sexually transmitted disease. And I told her to pack up and get out. And I gave her some big money to go back to Alabama so she could get there safe and sound. None of the debts I'm asking for her to repay occurred during that period of time. They occurred much later. When she wanted to come to my house, she was begging me to come to my house. I said, okay, but not on the same terms. You work your part-time, I'll help you through school, furnish free rent and food.
During that second period of time, sir, did you have sexual relations with the defendant?
Occasionally, although I backed off, and she was wondering why, because...
The word is occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah.
Okay, so she was 19, 20, and you were close to 60 at the time?
Yeah, approximately.
Okay. And is that the period of time that you're talking about, when loans were made to her?
That's right.
What were the loans for?
She had a real bad habit on the telephone, long-distance phone calls. After I cut her off, she went to her sister, got her calling card, ran up $600 in 2 months. I talked to her sister, so I know. She comes, so now she has no way to make calls. So she makes third-party calls, and the third party doesn't know that she's making these calls, charging her number, charging to their number. I get the phone bill 3 months later for March calls. It's a June phone bill. She says, oh, I'm going to pay you. As soon as I call her, she says, oh, I'll pay you.
So
she never paid me, so that's number one.
Okay, this is very simple. She billed them to a third party. The third party ultimately said, I'm not accepting the charges. They billed it back to the phone, your phone in your house.
This is after she already moved out.
Okay. I really should be right up front with you. I find your initial position really very unsympathetic. Do you understand me?
Sure.
You know, I mean, it's a court, and we're bound by certain rules. If she owes you money, you're going to get that money. But I find a 60-year-old guy playing a sugar daddy to an 18, 19-year-old girl, it's sort of, you get what you deserve. That's the way I feel. Now, she may have been a pretty savvy 18, 19-year-old girl, but even a pretty savvy 18, 19-year-old girl is still a baby.
She's
fully
very
cooked.
street smart.
Street smart, yes, but not fully cooked, sir, and not fully cooked. So,
but,
I mean, you played sugar daddy. You played sugar daddy, and sometimes there's a meltdown, and you get your fingers burned.
If she wants to accept that role in my life, then she should do it right and not be having sex with all these different guys and having all these different guys call the house. How long am I supposed to put up with this stuff? And be right and be good.
It's one of the problems that you face, sir, when you're 60 and you fool around with somebody who's young enough to be your grandchild.
Okay, that second period.
All right.
Hey, I know the age.
What else?
I got that.
What else does she owe you?
Doesn't mean I'm still not a man.
Come.
At 60 years old, I'm still a man. I'm much more capable than a lot of punks out there living with their mothers, and they're sleeping with these girls. At least I can take care of business. Tell me about it. And I can do everything they can do, and maybe better.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I knew it was going to come down to this lowest common denominator, sex with a young girl. Big deal. Man, they should have it so good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Demetria Mills says 60-year-old retired aerospace executive George Boyer knew she had another boyfriend when they made their sugar daddy arrangement.
What else?
Next one, she wrecked my Porsche, making an illegal U-turn.
I'm not considering that she's wrecking your Porsche, sir. Did she agree to pay you for it?
She agreed to pay me for it.
Did you ever agree to pay?
She told her relatives she'd pay for it.
Shh. Did she ever agree with you?
Yes.
When?
After it was wrecked. She came home feeling real bad.
Let me see the loan agreement that she made with you. That
I'm
going to look at.
There it is right here. It's itemized on page 3.
All right.
She agreed to pay this back.
Just a minute.
And she knew she owed it to me. This is during the second period, and I was not playing sugar daddy during that period. I was just helping her out. I was just trying to be nice to her, excuse me. She had problems.
All right, let's hear your end, Miss Mills.
George made a proposition to me. He knew that I was vulnerable. He took...
Don't tell me what he knew. You moved in. How long had you been living alone?
Not very long. This was my roommate before I moved in with George, and we were there just a few months.
Where do you originally come from?
I'm originally from Alabama.
So you lived with George for a while in sort of this relay. He was taking care of you and giving you money. Then you moved out. For how long?
Basically for 3 years. He took care of me even when I moved to Alabama. George was sending me money. George took me on trips. George sent me to Alabama a few different times. George bought a car.
Boyfriend's paid a trip too.
George, and that's George's problem right now, Judge Judy, is I'm not in his home. This is why he's doing this to me. Had I still been in his home, he wouldn't have a problem with me now. When I made the decision to move out of his home was because I needed to be by myself and on my own, and I didn't want to be in that situation anymore.
Well, I agree with you. You shouldn't have been in the situation in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay, and for that, he's more responsible than you are because of his age. He should be a little bit smarter. He should be 3 times as smart as you are because, because he's 3 times as old. But you do acknowledge, even in your answer, that you owe him some money.
Yes, but this is not the agreement. The agreement that I signed for that car, I signed that agreement in January of 1995. I'm sure he has a copy of it. I've seen it in his files of his records. That was for a 1989 Buick that he bought for me.
Now, did you pay him for it?
No, I did not.
So you acknowledge?
Yes, I do.
If I bought it for her, how come I'm the lien holder on it?
She's the lien holder, but I'm the registered owner,
Listen
Judge
to
Judy.
me. What are you fighting about, Mr. Boyer? She acknowledges that she owes you $3,000, which you haven't paid any part of, plus interest at 6%. Correct?
Correct.
You
I gave her a good deal.
What?
I gave her a good deal, 6% interest.
You gave us some good deal, sir. Bird, do me a favor.
Your Honor,
Take the old calculator while we're finishing this case up. Would you do 6% interest on this money since 95?
This is after she cheated on me.
Excuse me, Your
I heard she cheated on you, sir. I heard all of that. I'm telling you, your position with me, Mr. Boyer, is not terribly sympathetic, sir. I mean, I don't know whether you find women who are contemporaries not as interesting as children, but at age 18, she's really still a child. And you may say, oh, she's sophisticated, and she's worldly, and she's savvy, and she's street savvy.
Right.
Mr. Boyer,
yes, ma'am.
She's a baby. 18 years old and a baby, and vulnerable because she doesn't have any money, and you got some money, and it's very tempting. But you are not a very sympathetic person in my eyes, sir. You're going to get some of the money, but because she signed for it. Do you understand? But the rest of the stuff, I'm not so sure about.
Excuse me, Judge Judy?
What?
You know, everything besides that car that George did for me because he wanted to do it. I mean, for 3 years, I'm 23 now, just turned 23 Friday. Would somebody do that kind of stuff for 3 years if they did not want to?
Miss Mills, I haven't gotten to you yet. You are a beautiful, seemingly intelligent young woman who should have more pride in herself, even when you're 18, to sell your body for money, which is what you did. That's what you did. That's being no different than a prostitute. You may have used the money to go to school, to go on trips and whatever, but he bought the services. That was the arrangement. He's an old lecher. No question about it. That's what he is. And I'm being kind to Mr. Boyer. You, on the other hand, sold your body for money.
It was an agreement that we had. That was the basis of our arrangement. He was to give me what I needed and I gave him.
You sold your body for money. You are worth more than that. As a woman, smart, good-looking woman, You're worth more than that. I don't care if you have to work 2 jobs. I don't care if you collect cans. I don't care if you clean people's houses. I don't care if you drive a bus, drive a car, drive a cab. You do whatever you can so that you don't have to sell your body for money.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
You're a pathetic little girl, you're immature, and I'm sick of your crap. You owe me $1,500.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Demetria Mills says 60-year-old retired aerospace executive George Boyer knew she had another boyfriend when they made their sugar daddy arrangement.
Mr. Boyer, you are a very lucky man today, sir.
Gee.
Because despite the fact that I find that your arrangement with this young lady is the antithesis of good manners, good breeding, or anything moral, I am awarding you what she signed for in her contract, which was payment on the car, and I am awarding you $3,360. As far as her other bills are concerned, swallow them. That's all.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
Sorry, that's all right.
Back onto your right, please.
She's fully grown up. I don't care what her age is. She knows what she's doing, and she's cagey. Judge Judy focused on the sugar daddy stuff because I'm 60. I'm some ancient old man who doesn't have a right to be a regular human being and expect to be treated like a human being, expect people I have agreements with to keep their agreements with me.
And now the next case.
Parties on Glass versus Carr. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Tiffany Glass is suing her former roommate, 20-year-old Kelly Carr, because she says Kelly moved out of their apartment, giving only 5 days' notice and leaving behind numerous unpaid phone bills.
Miss Glass, Miss Carr was your roommate?
Yes.
Did you know her before she moved into your apartment?
No, I did not.
Did she answer an ad? Is that how she got your apartment?
No, she got it through a friend of mine.
And you have a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment?
2-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
What was her rent?
$375.
And how long were you living in bliss with the defendant?
She moved in February, and it was fine. You know, we totally got along. It was fine in March, and it kind of started to go down at the end of March. You know.
Now, had she paid you for February?
Yes.
She paid you for March?
Yes.
When did she move out?
At the end of May.
She pay you for April?
Yes.
She pay you for May?
Yes.
So why are we here?
Because she left at the very end of May, and she gave me 5 days' notice to find somebody new and decided that she didn't have to pay anything else.
Did you have a lease with her?
No.
So?
She just left.
You weren't getting along?
Correct.
Is that right?
Right.
Why weren't you getting along?
Well, I didn't really know. There wasn't enough communication between the two of us.
But you knew enough to know that you weren't getting along?
Pretty much. But there was never enough, oh, well, I'm moving out. Oh.
It's hard to live with somebody.
Yes, it is.
Well, since she paid you for the months that she was there and she moved out 5 days before the end of the month, did she owe you any money? I mean, other than the rent. I'm not considering the rent.
Before that, she didn't pay the deposit when she moved in, but I said, don't worry about that until June because, you know, at the end of June, the other roommate, blah, 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 was going to get hers, and then she could give it to me then.
Fine, so we're not talking about the deposit. But other than the rent she's paid up?
Oh, no, there's several phone bills.
What phone bills?
Which phone bills?
Mm-hmm.
There was phone bills from, the statement date was on June 23rd, and then it went back into May. It went from May to June. And there was a $40 900 call that I shouldn't have paid, and there were several long-distance phone calls.
In what amount? Come, quickly.
Around $75.
In long-distance calls?
In long-distance calls.
Okay. Tell me why you left.
I left because living with her was unbearable. I went through, starting back at the end of March, early April,
out of the blue, I started getting notes on my bed saying, you need to stay away from my friends. When I first moved in with her, I had just moved down to California. I didn't know very many people. Tiffany was nice, and she took me out. She introduced me to people, but then she tried to take that away. She said, you stay away from my friends. My friends are my friends. Your friends are your friends. You're going to make my life miserable.
So girly things.
Girly things.
Girly things. All right. Girly things. You paid February, March, April, and May. She says that you owe her $115 for phone bills.
I owed her approximately $150 for everything. That was gas, everything. And I told her when I gave her 2 weeks' notice that I would be leaving, that I will pay that. You just send me the bills to my grandmother's house, and then I'll send you a check. But when that happened, she began leaving harassing, vulgar phone mails on my voicemail. I would get them at work. They would disturb me at work. I would have to leave work because I would be so upset. I got harassing I have copies of the messages on papers. I have letters that she sent me threatening me.
That you owe her money?
That I owe her money, and if I don't, she's telling I quote, every living soul what I have done to her. I didn't do anything to her. I was protecting myself. I left. I didn't have to give her any notice, but I gave her 2 weeks' notice, being the last week of May, and then the first week of June, and I gave her 1 week's rent.
For June?
For June. I have paper here to prove it.
Judge Judy is ready to...
Lomborg versus Romano. Step forward, please.
33-year-old Lauren Lomborg is claiming her former lover and business partner, Charles Romano, assaulted her. She also says he owes her money for bailing him out of jail and for a computer.
Order. All rise. Judges number 61 on the calendar in the matter of Lomborg versus Romano. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
I've read your papers, and I'm trying to decipher them. A little complicated. What I gather, Miss Lomborg, is that you were both in a romantic and business relationship with the defendant?
That's correct.
How long was the romantic relationship?
We started dating in February of '95, and
when did you go into business together?
June 30th, July 1st of '95.
And that was a pool business?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, sometime in '95, the defendant was using your van.
Right.
Stopped for speeding. He had some outstanding warrants from tickets. And you bailed him out.
Right.
How much did you pay for the bail?
For that one in July, it was $2,050.70.
All right, let's take that one first, sir. Tell me about that incident with the van.
I got pulled over. It was towed due to no license.
No, you had no license.
Correct, I had no license. Okay. I don't think I was arrested that day. I'm not sure. They did tail the van. We got it back. But as I was taking care of tickets, since I had a lot of failure to appears, and these tickets were 5 years old, they decided they wanted to hold on to me when I went in to take care of them. And that's when the bail was, that's when she would bail me out.
Bailed you out and paid the tickets?
Right.
Did you pay her back?
Of course. Yes, ma'am.
Let me see.
Okay. Well, through our business relationship, Mrs. Lomborg ran the business and was paying herself back for many other things, but also the tickets. I do have the business books here, which is in her writing.
Your Honor,
just a minute. You say she was paying herself back through writing checks?
To herself, correct. Marked loan payment.
Is that correct?
This was a personal loan guaranteed by him to pay me back from his personal funds, not through the business.
Well, did you take any money out of the business other than your salary?
I have not taken a penny out of the business for a salary. I loaned the business initially $4,000 to buy the first route.
Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
And $25,000 in January of '96 to buy a second route. The loan payments that are coming out of this checkbook for the business were for the purchase of prior pool businesses. Has nothing to do with his personal legal problems.
There came a point in time, I assume, when the two of you romantically separated, and I assume at that time...
There was some disagreements. He's a very hostile and angry person, and very manipulative. He lived in my home with his children. In my home, I cared for them and paid for them, and I did many things for him, and he did some things for me, helped me take care of my daughter, and I had a zero tolerance for drug use, And he came home one time after he'd gotten stoned with his buddies, and I had packed up all his stuff to move him out, and when he came home, he just packed it, he just moved it right back in and said, never do that again. So that was October of '95. So I've been patiently trying to resolve these conflicts and working on it, and it's just been very difficult. He's very manipulative, and he knows my vulnerabilities, and he presses on them.
Were you paid back all of the money that you put into the business?
No, ma'am.
You told me it's about $29,000 that you put into the business.
Plus the van, right.
Plus the van.
Which he's sold.
Did you sell the van?
Yeah, yeah. She signed the pink slip in a bill of sale. It was paid for. I didn't sell it. I traded it in. I bought a pooled truck.
I changed the name after the assault where he beat me up.
When was that?
This particular assault was December 19th of '96.
Was he arrested for this assault on you?
He was, yes. And he made bail. And the person that bailed him out that time got paid back within 10 days.
What happened with that case?
He pled guilty on June 16th, and he got 1 year and 5 days suspended sentence, 3 years probation.
Is that correct, sir?
Here, if you want to know what I got, I'll give it to you right here.
I don't know. I want to know if you pled guilty. You don't have to look in your papers for that.
I didn't assault her, first of all.
You didn't assault her?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
But you pled guilty to it?
Yeah. He beat me up 3 times within a 15-hour period. He made bail and went right to my apartment and beat me up again, and that's when he stole the van the first time.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect.
There's pictures and everything. It's
incorrect.
There's a huge case down in the
Mr. Romano,
yes,
you pled guilty to the assault. Is that correct?
No, those charges I don't know what I pled to. It wasn't those original charges. I was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, which I was...
What was the deadly weapon?
Supposed to be a bat.
A baseball bat.
My child's bat.
No, it's a Louisville Slugger.
Where did he hit you with it?
On the leg right here.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You have to have witnesses in order to establish that to me.
Phone numbers. Give him a call.
You give him a call. That's not my job. My job is to hear this case, sir.
And later today...
Miss Marion, you can collect cans in the street and get $15 a week. You have to work and earn $15 a week because you have an obligation.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Former business partners and lovers, Lauren Lonborg and Charles Romano, are fighting over business debts, a computer, and bail money.
Miss Lonborg, right now I have, on your side, $2,060.70. Now I'm going to hear about this cross-complaint. Mr. Romano, you are cross-complaining against her in the amount of $2,100 because you say she wrote letters to your accounts.
Yeah, she wrote
So let me hear about that.
She wrote a letter, pretty nasty letter.
I have the letter.
Yeah, I've got a copy also. Pretty nasty, stating a lot of falsehoods, making it look like I had beat her up, put her in the hospital for 10 days.
Well, let me take a look at it.
Mrs. Longborg had some stability problems early in our relationship.
Let me read the letter.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you'll come back.
Okay.
Well, you seem to, in a chronological order here, describe not only your business, but your personal relationship with the defendant.
Right.
Something, quite frankly, Ms. Longborg, I don't understand. I don't understand why you would have sent the letter talking about the fact that he beat you up, talking about the fact that you were hospitalized for 10 days.
Because I throw the hospitalization in because that's when a lot of everything happened.
Your daughter, who was 9 years old, died.
That's correct. And I was a wreck. And that's when he took advantage of me.
That is not true. Mrs. Longborg stayed with me after her daughter passed on, and after she got out of the hospital for 2 weeks in March, from March 15 on, she was getting kicked out of her apartment.
Well,
and
listen to me, it sounds to me as if she has had a very difficult time.
Yes, she has, definitely. And
I mean, you lose a child, that's the most difficult thing in the world.
This child was severely handicapped. She was a special child to me and my children. I love this little girl just as much as anybody. She was taken to my mother's daycare. I treated her just like she was one of my own. I mean, like Mrs.
That's all true, but it doesn't give him license to steal everything from me.
Why did you write this letter?
At the time, the DA had assured me that this was going to trial. This was the 5th trial date, and that Wes was looking. I didn't say he was going. I said it was told to me that he may be spending as much as up to 1 year in prison or in jail for these crimes. Wes was making arrangements with his buddies to take over the accounts, which these are incredible estates, and I would not trust his buddies.
Ms. Longmore, there is something disingenuous about what you say to me. I'm going to tell you why, madam. Because if your concern was for the business, a very simple letter to the clients indicating that there may be an interruption in service. I cannot vouch for the personnel who are going to be dealing and servicing with the accounts, and since you've been dealing with me over the phone, I want to let you know I am no longer associated with the business and cannot personally vouch for the people who will be servicing your pool in the event that Mr. Romano is not with us for a year. You instead chose to, in a very systematic way, allow these strangers into your private life.
That was my choice.
Well, now, you have to establish to me, sir, that you had some loss as a result of that.
Well, I lost, it has changed. I lost one more customer as of this letter.
Well, you're going to have to establish to me that your loss of business was as a result of this letter.
Right here. Here's these people. As this gentleman was with me as we're on the route, people are coming out. Hey, what's this letter? Are you going to jail or not?
Now, listen to me, sir. You have to have witnesses in order to establish that to me.
This gentleman right here witnessed. They said, I don't want service anymore. I don't want to get in the middle of this. I'm sorry. Thank you for your service. Goodbye.
Now, listen to me. They have to come to court.
They don't want to get in the middle of it. They don't want to come to court.
Well, they may not want to get in the middle of it, but you've established one part of your claim. The second part of your claim is that as a result of that, you lost business.
Phone numbers. Give them a call.
You give them a call. That's not my job. My job is to hear this case, sir. Your job is to bring witnesses into a court so that I can question the people and make a determination as to their veracity and what motivated them and ask them the questions, not somebody who overheard them. That's why we do not allow hearsay in a court.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
she got a payment once every month. And if she didn't, she sure got on my case and got it somehow.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Former business partners and lovers, Lauren Lonborg and Charles Romano, are fighting over business debts, a computer, and bail money.
Unless the clients are here to tell me that they stopped using your services, sir, because of this letter, I am not entertaining your cross-complaint. I mean, I think that the letter was terrible. It was very poor taste, very bad judgment, and certainly unprofessional.
I felt no other alternative.
She's trying to slander my name for me to lose customers because she has nothing to lose. She is not part of the business. She is no longer part of the business as of December, and she's merely just trying to ruin my name.
How do you determine that?
Miss Longborg.
Sorry.
I'm not getting into whether you own any piece of this business or not. Certainly, if you owned a piece of the business and you wrote that letter, that would be dumber than dumb. Mr. Romano, I'm going to tell you right now, I do not believe, sir, that the plaintiff has been paid back all of the money that she loaned the business to start it. You can't even look me square in the eye and say she's been paid back all the money. But that is not the subject of this lawsuit, because that's far more than the jurisdiction of this court. I am entertaining your application for the money that he owes you as a result of the personal loan that you made to him for his bail and for the tickets, because I really don't believe that you have been paid back for that. So I'm awarding you a judgment in the amount of $2,060.70. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll back up to your right, please.
I have zero tolerance. You can do that on the day one.
I smoke pot once in a while. Shoot me. You want to do it right now? Shoot me.
Am I done?
And now the next case.
All parties on Olson versus Marion. Step forward, please.
34-year-old Brenda Olson is suing her childhood friend, Nikki Marion, for not repaying a loan. Nikki says she doesn't have the money or a job.
According to your complaint, Miss Olson, the defendant was a childhood friend of yours. And there came a time when she needed some money and you lent her money.
Correct.
She refuses to pay you back. So tell me about the loan. When was it made? Why?
Well, she came to me. She was back payments on her house that she had just bought, and then her car had been breaking down and stuff. So she needed some money to repair her car and to catch up on her house payments so she wouldn't lose her house. So I borrowed her the money on one of my credit cards.
How much money?
At the time, it was about $3,098. As time went on, she paid, wrote checks to my credit card and everything was going good, and then she wrote some bad checks to them, and I got bad credit over the deal. So she written them an apology letter, which I brought with me, too. And she got my credit all good again, and then she started sending them money orders. And just recently, like about 4 or 5 months ago, she lost her job, and she told me that she just couldn't pay me anymore, and so I asked her to borrow the money from her parents because I couldn't afford to pay it all off either. And if I would have paid monthly, I would have been ending up paying more than I ever borrowed her. And she told me that she asked her parents, and her parents said no, and that she just wasn't going to pay me. So I told her I was going to take her to court. She said, well, get in line with everybody else that had judgments against me. So I felt hurt because I did it as a friendship thing and wasn't going to see my money.
How much money in total does she owe you now?
Now, with the whole total, probably about $3,600.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the proof of that, please, and I would like to see the letter of apology that she sent to you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Miss Marion, how come you borrowed this money from your friend? You did borrow it, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Well, how come?
To have my car fixed and to make some payments on my house.
Wasn't there anyone else you could have asked for the money? Relative? Parents?
No.
Why?
My parents won't borrow me money.
Have you borrowed money from them before?
Years ago.
Did you pay them back?
No.
Is that one of the reasons why they won't lend you money again? Okay. So you went to your friend, and she lent you the money.
Correct.
So why don't you pay her back this money?
Well, first of all, I don't have a job, and I have no income.
Why not?
Because I was laid off of my job of 7 years.
When?
In November.
Let's talk about before November. You weren't paying her back before November.
That's not correct. Prior to November, I was paying her. I was giving her cash and money orders when I could.
When you could?
Well, she got a payment once every month. And if she didn't, she sure got on my case and got it somehow.
You seem to have a resentment when you say she got on my case.
Yeah, because this is I don't know, it's a rivalry for us. I mean,
why?
Because it's back and forth. I've lent her money, she pays me, I've lent money, it's back and forth. It's been for years.
How much money did you lend to her?
Over the years, I don't have a true record of it. We've known each other since we were little kids.
I'm talking about big money, Miss Marion. I mean, did she ever borrow $1,000 from you?
No. I'd say in the hundreds.
Paid you right back, though.
And she paid you back?
Yes.
Well, that's the problem. What's your excuse? What's your defense to this case?
I don't have a job, and I can't pay her the $50 a month that she wants. And when I lost my job, I called her and asked her if I could pay her less than that. And her attitude was fine.
That's what the interest is on the credit
card. And then 2 weeks later, she calls me, and all of a sudden, I'm taking you to court, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't ask to never pay her. I asked to pay her less until I got a job.
She has to pay these bills on her credit card because this money was borrowed on her credit card.
She chose to put it on her credit card. Thing is, I didn't go up to Brenda Olson and say, Brenda, please, please borrow me money. Brenda knew my situation. Brenda offered to borrow me the money. How she chose to get the money, how she chose to get the money was her choice. If she chose to put it on a 17% credit card, that's her choice. I didn't ask her to do that.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
How much are these monthly payments that you have to make?
At least $60 because $35 is interest alone. How are you ever going to get it down?
So you have to pay at least $60 a month. Most of it is interest, but some of it is principal.
Sure.
$60 a month. Now, I'm not really good at math, but that comes to a little less than $15 a week, right? $15 a week. Miss Marion, you can collect cans in the street and get $15 a week. So you can't tell me that you can't work and earn $15 a week. Doing something. Do you understand? You have to work and earn $15 a week because you have an obligation. And this lady doesn't look to me as if she's rolling in dough. Doesn't look to me as if she's living on a trust of $1 million. Do you work?
I clean houses on my hands and knees.
Ah. And how much do you get a day for that?
Well, usually about $35.
Very good. Why don't you do this? See if one of the people that you work for can give her a day's work.
Yeah.
She could just go to work one day, clean somebody's house, and, madam, you will have your monthly payment to her after 2 weeks?
Minus the $50 a day daycare, I'm negative $15.
Just a second. Let me ask you this question. Work out an arrangement with a friend of yours so that one day you watch your friend's child and one day they watch your child, and you go out and get a job, and if it's cleaning houses like the plaintiff does in order to get her money, that's what you do. We understand each other? Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Thank you. Have the back go to your right, please.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Versus Thies. Step forward, please.
24-year-old massage therapist Christy Nelson is suing boyfriend Oliver Thies for assault and property damage. He claims he left Christy because she was too intimate with one of her massage clients.
Order. All rise.
Now, this is case number 72 on the calendar in the matter of Nelson versus Thies. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Nelson, I always get nervous when I see somebody bringing in their papers in shopping bags.
Well, I just had to bring in my evidence of my broken stuff.
According to this complaint, listen, according to this complaint, you met this past New Year's Eve at a party. And you moved in the next day to her house?
About 3 days later.
So you were sure that this was going to be it?
Looked pretty good at the time.
And, Miss Nelson, you allege in your complaint that things went from bad to worse.
Yes.
That you lent Mr. Thies a lot of money.
Yes, I did.
And that he became jealous, obsessive.
Yes.
Destroyed all your property in a fit of rage. You want $5,000.
Yes.
He says that nothing could be farther from the truth. You destroyed your own property when you were in a fit of rage, and he wants money from you, including his moving costs.
Okay.
So far, is that the case?
Yes.
So, let's hear your side of the story.
Okay, well, basically, he moved in with me, and everything was good in the beginning, but I do massage for a living. I'm a masseuse, and he started accusing me of sleeping with my clients when I went over there, and so that caused a lot of problems in our relationship, and I said that's far from the truth. I invited him to go with me on my massages to these people's houses, and he went with me, saw nothing was going on, and still accused me of that, and so things got worse. He started physically hitting me, hit me in the chest when I was in the car once and pulled me forward and demanded my money, and so of course I gave it to him. I was scared, and he
demanded what money?
Money out of my pocket. Yes,
Just a second. Just a second. I'll get to you.
And so that was just one incident. He's also given me a bloody nose. He's hit me upside the head.
So when did you decide that you had had enough, madam? I mean,
well, I needed a few
you
more
know,
abuses.
to me, if somebody is thinking about putting his hands on me, that's enough to throw his behind out the front door.
I always thought that too until I was in a situation. I thought I was madly in love with him, and I thought that things
How could
would
you
get
be
better.
madly in love with somebody who
Well,
beats
because he's
you?
very charming.
There's nothing charming about giving you a bloody nose.
Yeah, that's true. But, and then he went through
There's no buts there.
Rages, yes, it's true. And destroyed my property. He destroyed my camcorder, $1,000. I haven't even finished paying this yet.
How did he destroy your camcorder?
Some sort of tool. He stabbed into it and then busted into a million pieces. He found a phone bill of mine.
Not
I had my cell phone that he destroyed.
And so tell me how that happened.
He was saying, you were calling all these guys on your phone, or I see it on your phone bill. I called all these people, and you're cheating on me and all this stuff.
It's not true, Judge.
I haven't heard about the loans that you made to him. You said you made a loan.
Okay, yes. I gave him, I have a receipt here from the real estate guy saying that I did give $1,000 for the down payment on a house, or to hold it, and if it didn't go through, that I would get the money back, but I didn't get the money back. He took it, and he says it right here on this piece of paper right here. I also have...
Can I see it, please?
It's not true, Judge. I never said anything on a piece of paper.
Just a second.
Oh, you did too.
Hey, can I see it, please?
Yes, and then there's checks right there of what he owes me for things I bought him for his window washing service and for the DMV that I paid for his car insurance.
Okay. All right. Now, let's hear your side of the story, and then we'll get to this money.
Yeah, it's like you said. We met on New Year's Eve, and we thought things were going to be, you know, nice. It was going to be a nice relationship. At least that's how I thought it was going. And, you know, she decided that she was going to be doing massage, telling me how she just does legitimate massage. Now, we moved into an apartment complex called the Marina Harbor Apartments, and where this apartment was located was right next to a laundry room, so I could be in the laundry room and actually look into the living room and see everything that was going on. And she wasn't just giving massages, so, you know, I told her I wasn't going to hang out with her anymore.
How do you know that?
Because I saw it for myself, with my eyes.
You're telling me that she was being indiscreet in your own home, with you home?
Yeah, as I was... Yeah, she's just telling me she was doing an in-call massage, and it wasn't a massage. And she just completely humiliates me constantly.
Well, let me ask you this question. So when did you see that?
This was back in April.
When did you separate?
Mother's Day.
I tried to separate from her that day, and she came running after me, telling me how, you know, she was sorry and this and that, and she just needed to make some money because that's how she makes a living, and she's been making a living like that for 4 years. She's been arrested twice for that kind of a charge. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Have you been arrested twice?
I have been arrested, but I have not been convicted of anything.
And
what were you arrested for?
Prostitution.
Go ahead.
So anyways, you know, at that point, our relationship kind of fizzled out, and she took it into her own hands to try to keep me around any way she knew possible, and I actually tried to stick it out for a while, and then I just got fed up and I left, because she continued to see this Taiwanese guy from Taiwan, and she just wouldn't let it go, you know. And, you know, I've talked to this guy, I've confronted him, and he's a complete weirdo, you know, and he knows that we're boy and girlfriend at the time, and he just won't stop. And she's all into this guy. And I just got fed up. I left. In her fits of rage, she would throw things at me, and I don't know. She's trying to get money out of anybody and everything that she can. And she's trying to get money out of me.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Something that you said to me doesn't make sense, and I really don't understand it.
Mm.
If I saw somebody that I was in love with, living with, having sex, which is, I assume, what you're talking about.
Yeah, it is.
With somebody in my house, I wouldn't stick around.
I didn't. I left.
No, you didn't. You came back. You said she told you to come back, and you came back.
Well, when you live with somebody, you create, you know, emotional bonding, and I had some real strong feelings for her. You know, so you can overlook a lot of things when you have emotional feelings for somebody. So that's what I did. And I know I was very deeply hurt, you know, and I'm still very deeply hurt. And
well,
that's why we're
there are
not
a couple of
together now.
lessons in that, sir. One of the lessons is you don't meet somebody on January 1st and move in with them on January 3rd. That's very dumb.
Yeah, this is L.A.
That's
though.
very dumb. Yes. This is L.A. This is still part of the universe, the last time I heard.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You forget that I'm 12 weeks pregnant with your baby, okay?
Well, it
now,
could be the
gonna
Taiwanese
do? No,
guy's
I'm not
child.
having sex with Taiwanese, all right?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Oliver Thies denies he damaged any of his girlfriend, Christy Nelson's property, or that he assaulted her. He claims Christy owes him for emotional stress during their relationship.
Not everybody who lives in L.A. are cretins. They're mostly very smart people. Most people who live in L.A. do not meet somebody on the 1st and move in with them and set up housekeeping on the 3rd. Find out, according to you, that the person to whom they've given their heart is a prostitute, right? And then stick around.
Well, I didn't find out she was an actual prostitute till about 5 months later.
That's not true.
When she actually told me she was arrested and her past life, and that's when I found out, and that's when I was out for good.
Did you ever take any money from her?
No, I never did.
You took $1,000 from her to put down as a down payment on a house. What do you mean? That's a well is not an answer, sir. Make sure I get everything truthfully from you. Did you take $1,000 from her?
She did give me $1,000.
Just a minute now, we're getting to it. She did give you $1,000.
But I've given it back to her.
Well, how?
Just cash. Give it back to her cash.
When?
That day, as a matter of fact. Because I already had enough in my bank account to cover that.
Well, why would you let her give the $1,000 in cash if you gave it back to her the same day?
Well, why would she want to give $1,000 up anyways?
Because we were getting a house together.
Is that an answer?
Well, we didn't get a house together, so I gave her back her money.
This was a very bad idea for the two of you. This was a very bad idea for the two of you.
Anyways,
Here, give this back.
I am now,
I have no IOUs with her. If she has anything that says I owe her anything,
well, you know what, Oliver?
and she can show
you
that right
forget
now.
That I'm 12 weeks pregnant with your baby, okay?
Well, it
now,
could be the Taiwanese
No,
guy's
I'm not
child.
having sex with Taiwanese, all right?
Miss Nelson, Miss Nelson, listen to me. You're not going to resolve the fact that you are pregnant and the parentage of that child until the child is born. Do you know that? You understand that?
Yes.
See, now she's just trying to get money out of me any way she can, because she's trying.
I also
She
have a
knows
tape
she
here.
has a
It's
kid
him
coming.
admitting that it's his baby. And him giving me threatening messages that he's going to bust my face into a million pieces if I don't get an abortion.
Listen to me. What does that have to do with the price of tomatoes?
Well, that just has to do with how violent he really is. It's his nature. And he did destroy all my property.
Did you destroy any of her property, sir?
No, I didn't.
How did the property get destroyed? All that
I
stuff?
have no idea. Probably the Taiwanese guy, when he got mad, he found out she was trying to keep it a secret that I was her boyfriend with this guy. Okay, guess who she's living with now? Ask her. Taiwanese.
That would be
He's a
interesting.
midget.
Miss Nelson.
Oh, you are...
He goes to
Miss Nelson,
USC.
sounds to me as if the two of you made some very serious mistakes, and quite frankly, neither of you has record sufficient to demonstrate to me whether he owes you money for loans. He says he paid for your car. You have any proof of that, sir?
Of?
That you paid for her car. That's one of the things that you're
I just gave her
claiming
cash
for.
all the time.
So you have no proof?
It was good faith, and we were getting along back then when I did give her money.
I can't rely on your good faith because neither of you has too much upstairs. It's the truth.
Judge Judy will continue. And later today,
You're unlucky that you don't like women. I'm sorry for you. And it's your loss, Eddie, that you've lost all your children, all right?
Oh, really?
You don't have another chance.
Okay.
You're
See
too
ya.
old.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Oliver Thies denies he damaged any of his girlfriend, Christy Nelson's property, or that he assaulted her. He claims Christy owes him for emotional stress during their relationship.
When I read these papers initially, I said, he's probably pretty nutty, living with somebody who he says he saw having sex with somebody in his house. But you've been arrested twice for prostitution. Maybe there's a possibility
Once.
that he's...
And that was 5 years ago. For dancing.
She can't even get her
It was
story
not
straight.
convicted.
It's a little
In any event, you also want $1,100 for moving.
Yes, I had to get a new apartment. I had first and last month's rent, and it left me with less money than I had. Okay, and I needed a place immediately.
You don't really expect me to give you any money for that, do you, from her? You don't really expect me to do that, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yes.
Dream on, sir. Listen, very rarely do I hear a case where I feel as if both people in a relationship such as yours sort of deserve each other. That's the way I feel in this case. You started out dumb, you ended up dumb, probably both a little poorer. Your complaint is dismissed, your countersuit is dismissed. Go and have a happy life.
Excuse, you may step out.
I have a restraining order on him. I want him to stay away because he does harass me. He's punched my friends out, and that's a problem. You know, he's got a really bad temper. I mean, and I still care about him very much.
I saw a short Taiwanese man in there.
Party's on Razzo versus Winkler. Step forward, please.
After 18 years paying only $75 a month child support, 45-year-old construction worker Ed Razzo is suing his ex-wife, Pamela Winkler, for overpayment.
Mr. Razzo, Miss Winkler is the mother of your son, who is now 18 years old?
19.
19?
19.
And you are suing her for $3,000, almost $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
I've read your complaint. I would like you to tell me why you're suing her for $3,000.
Well, I figure she owes it to me.
Oh, let's go back so that we have the story from the beginning. You had a child together.
Right.
You were never married.
No.
And you were under a court order to pay support.
Yes, ma'am.
Child never lived with you, I assume.
No.
How long had you been under a support order?
For 18 years.
And what was the support order?
$75 per month.
$75 per month. Is that what it always was, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
She never took you back for increased support.
No.
So then there came a time when the child turned 18.
Yes, ma'am.
Start from there. So what did you do?
I felt that my obligation for child support was up, so I did not pay after his 18th birthday, and he had graduated supposedly.
From high school?
From high school.
Mm-hmm.
And a month later, I got a letter, a late notice, saying that I was still to pay.
Okay.
So
from the court?
From the court.
Not from her?
Not from her, from the court.
So what did you do?
So I continued to pay after this month, and they said if I didn't pay, they would yank my license.
Your driver's license?
My driver's license.
Okay.
So I continued to pay.
Okay.
And meantime, they did yank my license, come to find out.
So then what happened?
So I paid up, and then I had got pulled over for making an illegal turn, and they impounded my car for 30 days.
They, the police?
The police.
You paid, according to you, an extra 6 months.
Right.
Is that right? Altogether?
Altogether.
After the child reached 18.
Right.
And this was because you were told to do that by the state.
Yes.
Now, I'd like you to tell me, so 6 months times 75 is what
Yes,
you
ma'am.
say you overpaid.
Right.
That's $450.
Right.
So now would you please tell me why you're suing her for $3,000?
Okay. Well, the impound fees, which was close to $500, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and missing work for a month, not having my vehicle.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
Construction.
And how much do you make a month?
I usually make $500-600 a month.
$500 to $600 a month?
$500 to $600 a week, excuse me.
$500 to $600 a week?
Week.
So you make at least $2,000 a month?
Right.
What I'd like to know is how you got away with paying $75 a month child support for 18 years.
You would have to ask her. She never went in to boost the child support, I guess.
People who are on the minimum wage maybe pay $75 a month in child support. Someone like you doesn't pay $75 a month in child support. You were given a gift for 18 years. Did you ever hear the word chutzpah?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
I'm going to tell you what it means. You know what chutzpah means, Bird? Chutzpah means gall. You got a lot of gall suing her for anything.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I know you haven't opened your mouth. It's not necessary.
Thank you.
If the state of California made a mistake, and as a result of that, your car was impounded, and you lost work, go sue the state. What are you suing her for? She's raised your child on pennies that you've given her a month.
Now, wait a minute. If
And
they
never
would have
even
asked for
came to-
$200 a month or $300, I would still pay it.
Just a second. You're a father. You don't have to be asked. You're a father.
Yep.
You're not supposed to be asked. You know in your soul, sir, you're an intelligent man, that $75 a month is an inadequate amount of support for you to contribute for a
She
child.
lives a lot better off than I do. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's fortunate, sir, that she lives better than you do. I'm telling you that this lady doesn't look to me as if she is driving around in a Mercedes, right, and living in a palatial place. And I'm telling you that if she didn't bother you over the years, you ought to give her 2 medals and mention her in your will, not bring her here to sue her. Your lawsuit's dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back over to your right.
And on the next Judge Judy, her courtroom, this is Judge Judy.
Parties on Griner, Zerga, Hominy versus Choseka.
22-year-old college co-ed Allison Griner and her roommates say apartment life with another roomie, Leslie Chiseko, was unbearable.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 87 in the matter of Griner, Zerga, Amini versus Choseka.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Well, you four ladies are college students and decided to room together. Took an apartment. Correct?
Yes, correct.
And I was really rather amused when I was reading your complaint against the defendant, who is a former roommate of yours. Complaint seeks unpaid rent in the amount of, I think, $625 for 2 months. Say she moved out. She owes you for 2 months rent. And also $80 because she broke a phone. What I found interesting about the complaint was that when you moved into the apartment, you got there first, correct?
Yes.
And you took the room with the view.
Right.
Did that really tick you off that she took the room?
Yeah, it really did.
I assumed it did. Even though I wasn't in here, I assumed that that started all the trouble. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Love to be right. So you took the room with the view, and when they moved in, did they ask you to toss a coin, do something for that room?
They suggested other alternatives.
Like what?
Like maybe switch rooms every quarter or things like that. And one specific person, she's not here at the moment, but she had the most problem with it, and because I knew that she wanted the room with the ocean view. And it's too bad because we didn't have any agreement on it to begin with. And so it's first come, first serve.
Well, that's your rule.
We didn't have any agreement on it.
A coin toss was actually what was decided by the people who were there. Everyone thought that we should just toss the coin, and everyone decided that that would be the most equitable way, but Leslie didn't think that was good because she had already established herself in that room.
And I suggested adjusting the price of the rooms according to their benefits, and that was just out of the question for Leslie because she had the room that she liked, so of course we should each pay equal rent.
And it wasn't only that, there were a few other initial things, like within the first week we decided that we would have a roommate fund and everyone would contribute $10 to pay for things like cleaning supplies. Leslie didn't think that she didn't think that was a good idea, so everyone put in money but Leslie. We all decided that one of the chores that we would do would be recycling. Leslie's words were, I just don't see the point. She didn't see the point of recycling, so every week when it was her turn to recycle, someone had to do that for her.
Okay. How much were you ladies out?
When she left?
Yes.
Well, it's $400 a month, so for the first month, $400, and then the second month it's $400, but the manager decided to take $200 from our security deposit and use it towards the last month's rent because they didn't realize they had charged us too much. So $600. And $25 for a late fee.
Okay. Now, tell me about this telephone that you're suing for, an $80 telephone.
Okay. That's my phone. Leslie came home one day after being gone for about 3 days, and I had moved. She had taken a chair from the living room, practically the only thing that she owned in the house, and put it in our room, which I shared with her. And it was quite a large chair, and it's a pretty small room, so it took up a lot of room, so I had moved it into the living room. She came
While
back.
she wasn't there.
Right. And, you know, she wouldn't come home for 3 days, and it was an inconvenience to me. So when she came home, she immediately removed the chair from the room, and I explained why I had done it, and she said, well, it's my chair, and I want it in my room. And I said, fine, well, then if that's your chair, you know, if you're going to be petty, then we're going to be petty as well, and you can't use any of our things. And the phones in the house all happen to be mine. So she proceeded to make a phone call, and I told her she could not use my phone if she was going to be that way. And I warned her about 5 times that I was going to disconnect the phone if she didn't get off it, just because I really didn't feel like I had a choice.
Angry.
I was angry. Yes, so I did disconnect the phone, and at that point she smashed the phone against the wall with all her might and
Did you do
broke
that?
it. Unintentionally, yes, I did.
How do you unintentionally do that?
I threw it across the room and it hit the wall, but I didn't mean
Where
to
did
hit
you
it against
expect
the
it
wall.
to hit?
Just outside there somewhere, I don't know.
You broke the phone, you have to pay for it. How much
Well,
was
I
the phone?
do have my counterclaims for that.
How much was your phone?
It was $80, or for a new one, it's $80.
Okay. Now, I'd like to hear about your counterclaims.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
custody.
She was using drugs every single day?
Huh, you guys.
How great is sex on ecstasy?
Oh,
Did she
yeah.
try it in Catalina Island?
You know, I didn't...
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Leslie Chiseco, a 22-year-old law student, says she shouldn't have to pay for breaching a lease with her roommates because they made her life hell.
My counterclaims were the phone. First of all, Christina had my patio table stolen. I brought it in.
Christina had your patio table stolen. How did she do that?
What happens in the Isla Vista community is that a lot of people leave for break, and a lot of times during break, things get stolen. And so I brought it specifically because I knew that there was a higher percentage of it being stolen. And so I brought it inside, and then when I came back from break, it was gone, and I didn't get an apology nor any kind of compensation or even an acknowledgement from her.
Do you know what happened to the patio table?
What happened was everyone had left for winter break, and there was just me and Leslie left. Leslie left, and she left and put the plastic table in the middle of the living room. I was still living in that place for another week, and there's a big plastic table in the middle of the room. So yes, I did put it outside. And, you know, so yes, we all got back from winter break, and yes, it had been taken.
This plastic table, where did you get it from?
It was my parents, and they paid approximately $150 for it. And when I went to Orchard Supply and Hardware, it was $69 without tax.
Okay. What else?
Also, before spring break, which is a week long, I left my car in our parking lot, in the apartment parking lot. And then they took it out into the street and left it there over spring break, causing it to be hit with a $315 damage, estimated damage. And I do have the paperwork for that as well. I could show that to you.
I'd like to...
No, go. Do you want
to? I just want to explain that where we live, almost 90% of people park on the street. And Leslie left for spring break a few days before everyone else. And the car, the way the lot's structured is it's 3 in a row. She left her car in the last spot, but there were still 2 other people in front of her who needed to be driving. So it was moved onto the street, so the other 2 who were still living there could have access to their cars.
So they're parked one right behind the other?
One behind the other. And she left it. She didn't say, hey, guys, I'm leaving. Make sure you put my car back in the lot. She didn't specifically say, I want my car in the lot for this week. She just left, leaving it there. We have a set of keys so everyone can move everyone's cars freely, and that's an agreement that we had.
Let me ask you a question. Did you park your car in the street at all?
I did, but when I left it in the parking lot. And no one ever moves a car from the street to the parking lot that belonged to someone else. They would move it from the number 3, the last spot, to the number 1 spot.
We didn't have a system for moving cars.
But you never
move them around.
No one has ever moved anyone's car from my... I am not lying.
Yes, our
you guys won't take responsibility. You didn't even acknowledge it.
If you had cared that much, you should have put it in the first spot,
Listen
Leslie.
to me. Oh, and woken up everyone? I left late that night.
You moved their cars. We have our keys all there.
You don't move it and leave it there for a whole week, and you know all the
First of all, we left, and it was not...
I'm still talking. All the cars get hit on Del Playa Drive.
Listen. It would seem to me, madam, that if you wanted your car to be untouched for the time that you were away, and since the keys are readily accessible, you move the other 2 cars that were behind yours, because you're leaving. You put your car in the first space so that nobody else has to be inconvenienced with your car. That way, there is no reason whatsoever to move your car. Your car is in the first spot. Everybody else has to be behind you. Why didn't you do that?
I also found out that...
Why didn't you do that?
Because we left in a hurry, and it was
That's your fault.
It was in the middle of the night.
That's
but
your
no one
fault.
has ever moved the car out
Listen
to the street
me.
and left it there.
That requires you
It is true.
to have...
You guys are lying.
Hey, that requires you to have a little consideration for other people. It requires you to put your car in a space where it's not going to inconvenience anybody else, since you were the first one leaving on spring break and they weren't leaving for a while. You chose not to do that. It's not their fault.
Judge Judy will continue. And later today...
She was one of my dearest friends. I've been to Easters and holidays at...
She's part of my family, but, you know, she took advantage of me, obviously, and I don't appreciate that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 22-year-old college co-ed Allison Griner and her roommates say apartment life with another roomie, Leslie Chiseco, was unbearable.
All right. I don't know how much this table is worth. The table had been out for a long time. You could buy a new one for $69. I'm going to give you credit for $40 for the table, because I think if you put the table back outside and she had taken the trouble to put the table inside so it wouldn't be stolen, You are at least partially responsible for that. Pay careful attention to me. You owe them $665. Do you understand? That's for the rent. You had no basis to leave sticking them with the rent.
After I was being coerced and harassed.
And you owe them for the telephone. Because if you broke the telephone in a fit of rage, then you're responsible for your own anger. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. All I can tell you is this. It's very difficult for young people to live together. But there have to be certain rules. And those rules should be set down immediately. And I think one of the first things is, in a democratic community, and you were moving into a democratic community, is that you should try to do things that seem fair. This whole problem started with you, madam, because you did something to these young ladies that they didn't feel was fair. There were 5 other girls, one really nice room. You picked the best one. They said, come on, let's try to do this in a fair manner. We'll toss a coin. You didn't want to toss a coin. The next thing they said was, well, maybe we could switch around so that everybody can have an opportunity to have a nice room with a view. You also dismissed that idea. Now, I didn't get into not doing your end of the recycling or putting in your $10 being a good citizen. But that's what happens when you live together. That's what you have to do. You can't always get the best piece of the pie. Sometimes you have to share. That's it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $665.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
See, who leaves used condoms on the floor?
You, Leslie?
You, that was your use. Oh, that was so disgusting.
Who's using drugs every single day?
Huh, you guys.
How great is sex on ecstasy?
Oh, yeah.
Catalina Island.
You know, I didn't realize how ugly and fat you guys were, especially you, Christina.
We're glad that we won. We're glad that justice was done.
And we hope we never see her again.
Các loại visa Đài Loan. Để phân loại các loại visa Đài Loan thì chúng ta có thể hiểu theo 2 cách. Đấy là nếu chúng ta phân loại theo mục đích. Khi phân loại theo mục đích thì visa Đài Loan sẽ có visa ngắn hạn, visa cư trú và visa lao động. Visa ngắn hạn với các mục đích như là du lịch này, thăm người thân này, đi công tác này, hay là visa học ngôn ngữ, visa điều trị khám chữa bệnh. Visa du lịch là dành cho mục đích du lịch, giải trí và các mục đích khác mà không yêu cầu việc làm có trả lương hoặc là xin giấy phép bổ sung. Khi cần visa thăm người thân là cho phép người sở hữu nhập cảnh vào Đài Loan để thăm người nước ngoài có. Visa công tác là dành cho đương đơn có nhu cầu nhập cảnh vào Đài Loan với mục đích công tác. Visa ngôn ngữ, học ngôn ngữ là dành cho đối tượng muốn sang Đài Loan để học tiếng Trung. Visa này yêu cầu giá hạn thường xuyên vì học kỳ chỉ kéo dài 3 tháng. Visa điều trị khám chữa bệnh là cho người có nhu cầu sang Đài Loan điều trị hoặc là khám chữa bệnh một cách hợp pháp. Đối với visa cư trú thì sẽ có visa phiên dịch dành cho người sang Đài Loan làm phiên dịch viên trong thời gian trên 6 tháng này. Visa định cư là cho phép người nước ngoài nhập cảnh và lưu trú tại Đài Loan trên 6 tháng và được cấp cho các trường hợp như là đoàn tụ với gia đình này, người muốn kết hôn với người Đài Loan này và các trường hợp tương tự. Còn visa học chính quy, đây là dành cho người nước ngoài muốn theo học tại một cơ sở giáo dục ở Đài Loan. Trước khi nộp đơn thì họ phải được chấp nhận vào một trường học hoặc là học đại học ở Đài Loan. Cái mà chúng ta thường quan tâm đấy là visa của lao động, tức là thời hạn tối đa là 180 ngày. Visa lao động là dành cho người nước ngoài muốn làm việc và nhận lương từ một công ty Đài Loan. Ngoài thị thực lao động thì họ cũng cần có giấy phép lao động. Visa dành cho lao động tái nhập cảnh thì dành cho người nước ngoài đã từng làm việc và nhận lương từ một công ty Đài Loan và muốn quay trở lại tiếp tục làm việc tại quốc gia này. Đó là cách phân loại theo mục đích. Còn nếu như mà chúng ta phân loại visa của Đài Loan theo hình thức xin visa thì sẽ có 3 loại. Đấy là hình thức visa điện tử, visa on arrival và visa tại đại sứ quán. Visa điện tử đó là một tài liệu mà chính thức được cấp điện tử bởi các cơ quan đại diện ở nước ngoài của Trung Quốc, cho phép công dân nước ngoài nhập cảnh và du lịch vào Đài Loan. Thị thực điện tử cho phép công dân nước ngoài nhập cảnh và du lịch đến Đài Loan. Lưu ý là visa điện tử Đài Loan thì không thể được gia hạn hoặc là chuyển đổi thành thị thực dài hạn được. Visa on arrival là thị thực tại chỗ, tức là được cấp cho công dân Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ hoặc là những người sở hữu hộ chiếu tạm thời hoặc hộ chiếu khẩn cấp do một quốc gia được miễn thị thực Đài Loan cấp. Visa đại sứ quán. Visa tại đại sứ quán thì nếu như bạn không đủ điều kiện xin visa điện tử hoặc là visa on arrival thì bạn có thể chuẩn bị hồ sơ đầy đủ và nộp tại cơ quan đại diện ngoại giao Đài Loan ở nước ngoài, ưu tiên tại nước mà bạn đang cư trú. Đó là phân loại visa theo các cái hình thức xin visa.